Hey, Action Shelf listeners, before we jump into the show itself, we want to tell you about how you can get even more action in your life. That appeals to you.
More action, you say,
More action,
John.
you say, yes. If you go over to our Podbean patron page, that's patron.podbean.com/punchup. You can listen to Listman and I watch, what's this? Good action movies.
Good action movies, you say?
That's right, a change of pace. We thought behind the paywall, let's give people something of quality.
And give us something of quality.
I know, it's such a pleasure to do that. So twice a month, you and I will be doing commentary tracks that you can download for good action movies, all kinds of awesome stuff from a lot of our heroes like John Woo. And we've done stuff from the John Wick franchise and Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all the guys we never get to talk about on here.
Yeah, stuff we legitimately love and love to share with you all.
Yeah. So you can listen to that as well as other cool exclusive content from the Punch Up Entertainment Network shows. Once again, the address for that is patron.podbean.com/punchup. And now, into the action.
The Action Show. Action Show. The Action Show. The Action Show.
Welcome to the Action Shelf, the podcast that celebrates the glory of B action movies. I'm John Campbell.
And I'm Michael Listman.
Oh, Listman, we got through Cynthia Roth Rock September. What a great month. That was a great month. And so let's hope this month can reach those levels of greatness, because it is the return.
Starting out strong.
It is starting out strong. It is the return of Spooktober.
Ooh.
That's right. For the month of October, things are getting spooky around here on the Action Shelf. There's suddenly cobwebs and such around our Action Shelf of movies. And just
there's a black cat right over there.
That's right, there is. So yes, it's a month of horror-themed action movies, and boy, we wanted to kick things off. I wasn't ready for how much we kicked things off, really, this week on the show. But yes, we are talking about Full Eclipse. And with that comes, number one, we heard this plot description, and we immediately knew who had to be the guest on this episode. Our pal Mike Gergoni is back on the show.
Hey.
Yes, indeed. I have emerged fully formed, drug-fueled, and ready to go.
Oh, my God.
Feeling feral.
I heard Werewolf Cops. I heard Werewolf Cops, and I said, that's a Gergoni episode. That's a Gergoni episode if I've ever heard one.
Now, it's good because the last time you were on the show, Mike, I believe it was for 211, the Nicolas Cage movie, which was not very good.
A very different kind of cop movie.
I on my time here on the Action Shelf has gone from one of the blandest action movies I've ever seen to what is possibly my new favorite werewolf movie. I'm not sure, but it's certainly creeping up there.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's one of those things where I heard the pitch Werewolf Cop, and we're telling you, the listeners, Werewolf Cops. But it doesn't prepare you for what you actually experience when you start this thing. Because
no.
Holy God. And I mean, this
also,
go ahead, Gergani.
This movie went from I was okay with it, and it was just like chemically enhanced people that are kind of like werewolves, to the third act twist of no, there's more going on here. It made me go, okay, movie, you went from kind of losing me to this is maybe my favorite werewolf mythology I've ever heard.
Because up till the third act, the werewolves, I say in quote, are more like the vampires from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
Aesthetically speaking. It's
plus Wolverine.
Oh. Plus Wolverine. Plus
you caught on to the
roars for some reason.
Yeah. Hold on. Wait. You caught on to the really subtle X-Men connections that were in this?
They name drop it in the first 10 minutes.
They sure do.
Yeah. So
that makes it okay, Mike.
I didn't need
lampshade it. Yeah.
I didn't need to read the director saying he was inspired by X-Men at any point to go like, no shit. Especially when they're all in their matching tactical outfits.
Oh, with the head socks that look just like Gambit.
Yeah. I mean, this is 1993, so we are in prime X fever at this point, right? Like this is the height of popularity of the X-Men comics.
I believe we are, if I'm remembering my X lore properly, we are just beginning to enter the Onslaught crossover event in 93.
That's
so
right.
We are. Or maybe we're just coming out of Age of Apocalypse. Either way, we're like peak oversaturation of X-Men stuff.
We're in the Age of Apocalypse to Onslaught kind of, thing there. Yeah.
Does this movie line up with the animated show? When did the animated series?
Animated series started in 92, so yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Gotcha.
No, that's the thing.
That was my entry point for X-Men. So that was because
that's the peak X-Men. It's the gluttony of X-related comics. The cartoon show, the video games. Remember the arcade game as well? That was very popular.
Oh, I do. Yes.
So we're this like 92 to 95 is really probably almost as popular as they've ever been, basically. Once that relaunch happens, that new X-Men #1 with Jim Lee, which was like 91, 92. That just
also. You mentioned
up.
Buffy. The original movie for that came out the year before this. So
that is another thing I was wondering about. Yeah,
it did. Yeah. So we're definitely also in, and I think that comes into it. And Buffy's an example of this, and probably the big example of the postmodern new twist. What's the 90s version of these classic monsters, man?
Right. Exactly.
And you can go over to the to Meet the Monsters, and we just recorded, and it'll be out soon on the Patreon page. We did an episode about the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. So,
nice.
But when are we doing Army of Frankensteins?
Oh, listen, that's a tease for next Spooktober. The Civil War Frankenstein
stick around,
movie.
Folks.
Yeah, folks. If there's but so full eclipse. Holy God! By the way, listen, I think this is the first Mario Van Peebles appearance on here?
Yes,
wow,
I believe so.
Yeah. Welcome to the show, Mr. Van Peebles. Certainly a guy we will not hear. This is not the last we'll hear from him. An icon of B action movies.
So I don't know much about Mario Van Peebles. Is there anything problematic about him that I should know about before professing my love for him in this movie? Because
Lisbon, there is not. I love Mario Van Peebles.
Great. That's
this
so
guy,
riveting.
he is the son of legendary blaxploitation filmmaker Melvin Van Peebles. He also writes and directs a lot of stuff. He's still working to this day in television and movies. I've heard
pretty
nothing.
Good in this. Like he is.
No, he's a good actor.
Genuinely enjoyed his performance in this movie.
Here's the thing about him and why we need to watch more of his stuff for sure. He's actually good. He's in this kind of stuff, but I think he's a solid actor. Actually,
also, can I just highlight the Van Peebles family tree here for a second?
Yeah,
yes.
Because we have his parents, Melvin Van Peebles. Yeah. We have he and his siblings. We have Mario, Megan, and Max Van Peebles. We have all of his children, which include Maya, Marley, Mandela, and Morgana Van Peebles.
Oh, Morgana is so good.
Name. What a good name.
There is a theme here, and everyone in the family has bought in.
I love a good themed family tree.
I do too.
I think that's great.
It's because all of their initials are MVP.
Yes.
Amazing. But no, Lisman, it is more than okay to love Mario Van Peebles. This guy,
great,
is
Because
fantastic.
I was so impressed, and I think that he does something that a lot of people aren't able to do in these movies, which is take a script that is mediocre at best and actually elevate the material.
Agreed. This movie, we're all talking about how much we enjoyed this movie, and I think a lot of it is to do with him. I think in lesser hands, man, if you put one of our, if this was fucking whoever, man, one of our stupid action guys who can't act, we love him, but if this was Dolph, even, it wouldn't be as entertaining. Part of it is how fucking serious Mario Van Peebles is taking this material. He's all in, and I think across the board, actually, the cast is, because I also want to talk about another actor I love, Bruce Payne, who plays the villain Garou. Oh, I love Bruce Payne. I love this guy so much. Because you talk about a movie we have talked about. We will do a commentary for at some point. He is the villain in Wesley Snipes' Passenger 57, in which he plays Charles Rain, a.k.a. the Reign of Terror.
Oh, hell yeah.
He is also one of the only characters to reprise their role in both the original 2000 Dungeons and Dragons movie and the straight-to-video sequel that came out 5 years later.
Yeah, Bruce Payne, a good actor, but also a guy who's like, yes, I do like money.
Yeah. He got caught in this world,
Oh, God, did he ever. I mean, he played, does anyone remember the Warlock franchise?
No, nope.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, he was the Warlock.
The titular Warlock.
He's in the fourth Highlander Endgame.
Oof.
Possibly my favorite Highlander movie outside of the original.
Okay,
because it is the one that attempts to bridge the TV show and that original movie.
Which is the most insane idea for a movie ever.
Yeah, I'll agree it is the second best, but that speaks less to it and more about how bad 2 and 3 are.
Yes, I agree with that.
And actually, Mario Van Peebles is the villain in 3. Which is better than 2. 2 is dog shit. Highlander 2: The Quickening is so fucking bad. So much so that movies 3 and 4 don't even acknowledge it. It's basically been wiped. It's basically been wiped from canon.
That makes sense.
Because it so destroyed the mythos of Highlander that they were like, I don't think we can make sequels going on this trajectory.
Well, and the wild part is because The Quickening kind of establishes the whole strange alien mythology.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Yes.
Then they went back to in number 5, Highlander 5, The Source, which was a Sci-Fi Channel original film.
Okay, see, this is where you lost me. I stopped once they stopped coming out in theaters. I was there, man. I fucking saw Endgame in the theater. I was such a fan. But once, because at that point, isn't it? It's just Adrian Paul from the TV show, right?
Yes.
Lambert is out of it at that point.
Oh yeah, no, he came back for one last hurrah for Endgame. But...
Yeah, and then, dude, it's bad news when Lambert is like, no thanks.
I have standards.
Yeah,
okay?
Jesus Christ, man.
God, speaking of Lambert, wouldn't he be great in this movie? I mean, it would have a totally different energy, but boy, would he have
if he played Garou,
a werewolf cop with a weird accent.
He could have been Garou to Van Peebles,
Because
he would have that his weird foreign energy that is that implacable accent. Yeah, he's still a couple years out from playing Raiden. So, oh my God, that performance. All right, so let's. I got to talk about the director of this movie for just a second because this guy, he is an action shelf guy if I've ever seen one. Listen, we're going to watch a lot more Anthony Hickox movies. Gorgoni, you and I were actually talking about he made a Prince Valiant movie. You and I were talking about this. Why were we talking about this? This came up on something.
Because we were talking about it, I believe we were off mic. It's tough to say, but Prince Valiant specifically because it's one of those weird early comic book adaptations that nobody quite remembers in the mid to late 90s before
97.
The X-Men movie happened. There were a lot of people trying to do comic book adaptations because there were just all these properties sitting around that nobody was doing anything with. But the reason it came up, I believe, is because the cast of this film is fucking stacked. We've got Stephen Moyer, we've got Katherine Heigl, we've got Ron Perlman, we've got Warwick Davis. Like, this is a film
Udo
that is just
Kier.
full of
I
people
fucking
you
love
recognize.
Udo Kier. Yeah, no, exactly. And neither one of us had ever heard of it when we just stumbled upon it. 97, maybe a future Action Shelf episode, especially now that I know this guy directed it.
Yeah.
But so he directed a lot of horror stuff. If anyone's familiar with the Waxwork franchise, which is just dumb. It's a franchise where a wax museum of statues of like monsters come to life and whatever.
Oh, I saw that episode of Gravity Falls.
Kind of, yeah, a little bit like that, except if they were the classic monsters. And then he did the third Hellraiser movie. So when he does this, by the way, he is full on coming from horror at this point.
Because he's just coming off of one of the Warlock movies.
Warlock the Armageddon, which came out the same year. And this is Julian Sands. It goes between a few people, but also Paula Marshall, who's in this movie, is in that Warlock film as well. So she's the other female werewolf cop who's not the main one. And actually, it's a
who has
bummer.
no lines.
She's got some lines. She talks a little bit, but like kind of early on.
Okay. When they're going into the werewolf cave, and by that I mean the palatial werewolf estate, they are every one of the werewolves gets a line to introduce their broad caricature,
which I love, because it's just like, it does not matter who these people are at all.
Nope.
The only thing that matters is like that they're all like, I had troubles too. I also had a problem. This movie is also...
he had an issue. It's like, we don't want to talk about that. And
yeah,
like,
shut everybody.
Why did we bring it up?
Everybody shut up. But this
guy
guy
talking.
This guy has gone on to direct many a movie with a lot of our I wouldn't say favorites, but let's say people we've seen. A lot of
regulars.
Dolph, Seagal. He's directed a lot of those kind of things. So definitely a guy we will probably watch more of his movies.
The Eddie Griffin action vehicle Blast.
Yeah, different than the Blast we watched on the show. But Gorgoni,
hopefully better than that one.
I want to talk about who wrote this movie, because I don't know. Did you look into this at all?
Richard Christian Matheson and Michael Reeves.
Richard Christian Matheson, son of legendary science fiction writer Richard Matheson, and also staff writer for The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah,
we've seen much of his writing.
He did 3 episodes of The Incredible Hulk.
I remember all three of them.
He wrote the one where the Hulk has to land an airplane.
Yep. He did Like a Brother, where the Hulk goes
to
Harlem.
The blaxploitation one.
But then he wrote one of our favorites, The Snare.
Oh, where the Hulk is hunted on that island, and it's just the most dangerous game with the Hulk.
Yeah, we love that one. That was one of our favorites. But then Listman, he goes from that to being a staff writer on the fucking A-Team.
Jesus Christ, he's getting all the hits.
This guy went from Incredible Hulk to BJ and the Bear to Knight Rider to Hunter to the A-Team. What a career!
What a career. Man, the 80s were very good to this man.
And then he worked on some show in 2009 called Splatter that I do not know. What is this, actually? I have no idea what this is. Corey Feldman plays a character named Johnny Splatter. Need I say more?
After self-righteous rock star Johnny Splatter puts a bullet in his own head, only 5 people are chosen to attend the reading of Splatter's will. The manager, the shrink, the guitarist, the lover, and the groupie. Will they get what they came for, or what Splatter thinks they deserve? Bum, bum, bum.
Okay, so Gorgoni, Michael Reeves, who's the other writer of this, has given us
I know Michael Reeves.
He's given us a lot of our favorite shit, man.
He has given me a ton of Batman the Animated Series.
Yep.
He was all over one of my favorite cartoons, Gargoyles.
Yep.
He did that wild-ass cartoon, Phantom 2040.
Yep. Spider-Man Unlimited.
Spider-Man Unlimited, which is okay.
But this guy wrote the screenplay for Batman Mask the Phantasm, probably the best Batman movie.
the 80s and 90s Real Ghostbusters cartoon, the late 80s TMNT cartoon. He did a few episodes of the 80s Twilight Zone reboot.
Spider-Man
Like,
is Amazing Friends.
yeah.
The Teen Wolf cartoon, which is very real. And if you listen to
The
our Teen
Dungeons
Wolf...
and Dragons cartoon.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And
God.
and if that wasn't enough, one episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Mm-hmm.
And
God.
a few episodes of The Incredible Hulk.
The live action one?
Yeah.
I don't think
I
that's
believe,
right.
unless
No?
this is the cartoon. No, this is the cartoon from the early 80s.
Yes, that's what I was
This
gonna
is
say.
the bad cartoon.
Yeah, because the 90s cartoon is pretty good.
The
This
Smurfs.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, this guy's
Okay,
a big animation guy, so it's interesting that then he wrote this movie.
Ewoks.
To give
Yes.
a movie, though, that, Listman, you and I I don't know, we were talking about this should have been a comic book, probably, right? This feels like a pitch for a comic book that turned into a movie that, as much as I love this movie, doesn't quite have the scope that it needs to tell as epic a story as it wants to tell.
Yeah.
Now, that being said,
the budget.
I applaud it for just how fucking crazy it gets.
It is insane. This movie's totally bananas in the best way possible.
Well,
It's so entertaining.
I don't think I've ever seen a movie that is 3 acts that are 3 totally different genres.
That's true.
It's
Very
like
true.
it starts as a cop movie, it becomes a superhero movie, and then it turns
Yes.
into a horror film.
Yes. Yes. That
All
is-
of that wrapped around like a drug addiction PSA.
Mhm.
Yeah, with a drug addiction allegory. So this movie, I didn't think it was possible for a movie to be all things to all people, but by God, it full eclipses not.
It fully eclipses all the things we're looking for
So
in an
this-
action shelf movie.
This was not a theatrically released film, not a straight-to-video. This was a HBO movie.
Yeah.
So this was...
I
So weird.
watched but it was released on home video eventually.
Yes.
Because I watched a rip of the Laserdisc version
so did
of it
we.
on YouTube.
That's the same version Listman and I watched too. Yes.
Oh,
It is.
yeah.
It is the one it is the best version that's out there. And it's actually decent compared to some of the stuff.
This is one of those movies where the scan lines of like an old scan of something actually benefit the movie.
Yeah.
I think it gives it that like rougher feel that you want out of an
it's-
old
but
TV movie.
Because it's a laser disc, it's clearer than a VHS. It doesn't have the crackle of the thing. It's just washed out and not anywhere close to high def quality. This is ideal, I think, for a 90s action shelf movie. I agree in terms of correct aspect ratio. It's not stretched.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Because we always talk about we'll never see anything as bad as was it Death Force?
Something like Death Force. That was the
one with
what's
the
his
face. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dirk Benedict. Yeah.
Dirk
Let's
Benedict.
dive into the movie. Talk about comic books right away. We are presented with a Gotham City level of crime in this city.
We're in LA.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
we're in LA,
Yeah.
but what if LA looked like, Gotham City? That's kind of this version of
the
LA.
Detroit of RoboCop. I also thought about.
My first thought was like, oh, so this is a prequel to Escape from LA.
Right.
It is. It's LA with the amount of crime that's in that, but not having separated from the U.S. yet.
Yeah.
And so because it just starts with like, oh, there's an assault over here, there's a robbery over here, and a drug deal happening there, and you're like, yeah, that's how crime works. It's just everywhere, all the time, constantly. Got it.
All at once.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, technically, this movie starts with a minute and a half of opening credits and just a still image of a moon that looks like a JPEG from the 90s.
Jeez, if there's one thing I'm glad about, it is the almost elimination of opening title sequences in modern film. Because everything I watch from the 80s and 90s, as much as I enjoy these movies, it's always like, well, settle in for a couple minutes of just title cards.
And I'm fine with opening credits that are happening with like the movie still happening,
or
like
some
over
kind
the-
of design
Yes.
sequence, like Bond style or something like that,
Right. But just a still like JPEG image of a moon for a minute and a half was a lot to start out with.
Dude, when I tuned in to HBO on a Saturday, here's the other thing too that's so interesting about this. When people go, "Oh, it's an HBO movie," and like, guys, HBO didn't used to mean quality. That's somewhat recent. Like anything,
that's basically changed with The Sopranos.
I was gonna say anything pre-Sopranos was a total mixed bag and mostly not good. There were so many HBO original movies I remember watching as a kid that were pretty shitty, and were a lot of this. They were like cheap genre things.
And one of the big draws of HBO was, and you can still see traces of this in modern day HBO, is it's cable, but you can see tits and fucking and a lot more violence.
And cursing, Because the big thing I was watching on HBO at this time that I think is indicative of this movie is Tales from the Crypt.
Right.
That's the kind of thing where it was, which was very purposely schlocky. And this movie, the one thing I will say about this movie, this movie never stops owning its schlock. It has no aspirations to be anything but pure B-movie goodness.
Yes, that's true.
For better and for worse. But
yeah. So we open on Mario Van Peebles and his dead as meat partner.
When he opens up with, "Oh, I'm gonna retire and we're getting married," and just like all of the tropes, and he's his partner, he's just like, "Oh boy, you're dead."
We can start with the character names in this movie though. Detective Max Dyer.
All the names in this movie are fucking great.
Yeah, Detective Max Dyer. I wonder where that's going. Yeah, and his partner, less exciting, Jim Sheldon. But we'll get to some better ones. And so they're cruising the streets, and he is just. I almost want Mario Van Peebles to go, "Will you shut up? You're already fucking dead, man."
Okay, can we talk about these two cops? For a second,
and
in terms of just like, what was that?
And they're two best friends.
They're also best friends, but. So we see them in an unmarked car wearing suits.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which would lead us to believe that they're detectives of some kind, right?
Yep.
Sure.
Just based on their trappings.
Yeah.
But later in the film, when he's being given a Medal of Valor, they make it explicitly clear that he is an officer. He is a street officer.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
And everyone is able to pull rank on him because he is an officer.
Correct.
And Adam Guru, the villain of this piece, is a detective. But so he is a plainclothes officer who dresses in a suit, who drives an unmarked car, and also takes charge in situations in which there is a hostage crisis.
Oh my god. Yeah, because they're cruising around. The partner's giving us all the "I'm about to die" dialogue. I mean, it's almost like, was this meant to be funny? Because it's so.
It has to be.
So
I think so,
over the top.
because the fake out death of this guy.
Well, that is what I thought was actually very clever about this. Of course, is that what this is? But it's like every Dirty Harry movie. You're just like, well, this guy's fucking dead, man. And then they get the
any
call.
partner this guy has will die.
I know, which I love, especially like a couple into the Dirty Harry series where they start going like, every partner you have gets killed, Harry. It's like once the police start acknowledging,
giving me partners then.
Yeah, and that is kind of his thing where he just goes, I work alone because it's dangerous otherwise. But so they get a response to once again a total comic book crime. Just random psychos have taken over a nightclub, something that has never happened as far as I'm aware in real life, at least not at this level. And
there's a joke in Mystery Men that is a play on this trope from movies, which is the villains that they first confront in that movie have stormed and taken over an elderly person's bingo night.
Yes. God damn. By the way, if you haven't seen people, watch Mystery Men.
It's so good. It's so good.
Fucking good. I'm so glad that I hear people talking well of that now because it is so underrated. But I love when they go there and his partner's like, come on, man, let's just wait for the SWAT team. And then right on cue, someone is thrown out the window of this nightclub.
Now, not just anyone, John. A mannequin is thrown out the window.
Oh, there's so many good mannequin falls in this movie.
Oh, this
so
is
many.
this one of our favorite things on this show is dummy work in these movies, and this movie and the dummy work, mwah.
Fucking delivers.
Later, when Mario Van Peebles and Patsy Kensit are like leaping out the window to escape Detective Guru, and we just cut to two perfectly stiff dummies falling down out of the sky. It was so good.
I love the idea that the director had to call, "Hey HBO, we need more money for the dummy budget."
God damn it! This dummy budget is fucking through the roof. Anthony, we can't keep doing this.
Can't you reuse the dummies? Oh no, there's nothing left of them after we're done with them. I could not get a budget on this thing. I kind of I have no idea what this cost.
No way
not
to
much,
tell. No
but
way to tell.
I will say this: not much, but probably more than it should. Still,
I know we don't have an actual number, but I'm going to ballpark it and say 15 million.
that feels about right.
That seems right.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be more than a lot of the straight-to-video stuff because HBO had a little bit more, but it's still way less than is needed for something in this genre.
There's some pretty good explosions. There's some like fine TV level creature work and makeup effects.
Well, I think the Buffy comparison for the level of makeup is pretty dead on.
Yeah.
For the majority of it until we go forward.
Much like the movie Tusk.
So obviously,
Transformation is completed.
So we get, of course, the only way we can enter this building is to go to the roof and crawl in through the air ducts. Obviously. Because
let's get a little diehard in here. Why not?
Why not?
And then, Listman, the moment I knew, the guy getting thrown out the nightclub was my first indication, but the moment I knew I was going to absolutely adore this movie is when Mario Van Peebles draws two guns, like cops often do.
It happens multiple times in this movie where he dives through the air whilst shooting two pistols.
Well, we're also in prime John Woo territory. There's no question that we've seen some John Woo. This is before John Woo comes to America, but early 90s. This is right when stuff like The Killer and Hard Boiled is coming out in the U.S.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
it's...
To further cement the fact that his partner is going to die, when he starts to climb in through the vents and the partner's just like, but I'm afraid of tight spaces.
Yeah. And oh my god, okay. So then we get to these just generic scumbags who have taken over this club for unknown reasons.
These scumbags, I like them for a couple reasons. One, the main scumbag,
who's great.
I think all of his lines are ADR'd because very little footage of him actually speaking like on camera is shown.
I think you're right. Yeah.
But number two, the reason why I like it is this nightclub supposed to be like a really ritzy, fancy, well-known nightclub? Because he's asking for like a jet to land outside the nightclub which is not
possible.
But,
where would that land in the middle of the city?
Yeah,
when he's making those demands, though, he's making them to himself. He's not talking to the police.
Yeah, there's no negotiator on a line with him. It's almost like
the police at no point try to communicate with him because the only two police who are on the scene so far are climbing through the ventilation shafts.
Well, and also, where is SWAT? SWAT is not responding at the moment and doesn't show up at any point. And you think this would be priority one to get down there as fast as... What, SWAT's caught in traffic?
His partner, Jim, even says to Max Dyer, Mario Van Peebles, hey, we should wait for SWAT, which is when the guy gets thrown out, the dummy gets thrown off the building.
Yeah, because
at which point, let me remind you again, Officer Max Dyer, he is in no way outranks any of the other cops who have surrounded this building.
Nope.
Decides, we're going in. Play the music, Sam. We're going in.
Oh, and I love the idea that his partner would just be like, okay, I guess we are then, because you say so. I love it. I mean, they
you don't outrank me, but sure, let's do this.
I think they kind of want to establish the Lethal Weapon kind of vibe, where the one guy is like, all right, we're going in, and the other guy's like, oh, boy, like, here we go again.
Yeah.
He literally says, I'm too old for this when he climbs up the fire escape outside.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Good Lord.
No, there are so many, like, illusions and amalgams and just straight up theft from different things in this movie. It's clearly purposeful, and I'm here for it.
Well, there's also cast members from the Lethal Weapon movies, which we'll get into. But I love this scene where the main guy starts getting creepy with one of the girls, and this guy's like, "Hey man, stay away from her," and then that guy just gets shot to pieces.
And here's the thing:
excessive use of an Uzi.
Yes, well, the infinite ammo Uzi. Which is our favorite action movie weapon.
Oh god!
But him being creepy with this woman is dancing, I guess, like swing dancing.
Yeah, it's still
forced swing dancing.
Yeah, and I just love the guy go. One guy just is like, "Hey, leave her alone." And then just, and I mean,
like 100 bullets into this guy.
I mean, once again, this is very RoboCop. The beginning of this movie to me. But I will say, and kind of in that RoboCop vein, the use of squibs in this movie is grade A, man. Everybody explodes into blood when they get shot in this thing.
Not just people, but like the environment too,
Yes.
which I really liked.
And this scene also establishes what the body count in this film is going to be like, which is absurd.
Oh, we're dropping bodies in every scene, man.
Truly cataclysmic, honestly.
Like, if the events of this movie had ever occurred, then people would be like, the desolation that is LA because of the body count.
Half of LA
Hence the prequel
is dead.
to Escape from LA.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
That's when they go like, we have to do something about Los Angeles, Mr. President.
Right.
So yeah, they hear a noise up in the air ducts and open up into the vents, and of course that's where his partner gets shot. And so we can get Mario Van Peebles going, "No!"
As he leaps, guns akimbo head first out of the air vent to take down the main goon.
Full on Chow Yun Fat moment here. And by the way, he has to reload after this. He empties both guns into this guy.
He empties his primary weapon twice. Once on this first guy, he's then on the ground on his belly, so he does a barrel roll while he reloads one gun, and then completely empties the clip again on the second guy before reloading and then emptying the clip a third time on the guy who comes over the bar with the shotgun.
He gives each guy a full magazine. He's got Berettas. He's pumping like 15 rounds into these guys. Are you? What the fuck?
And this is like 10 minutes into the film, and I already know it's going to be a great movie.
No, this is where
point,
I'm like, oh, I'm so glad we're doing this movie. Because I'm like, well, one thing, sometimes these movies can get boring. Oh, it's like, this is one of those where you go like, it's gonna be one of these kinds of movies. Excellent. Yeah, I was already laughing so hard at this movie and like, yes, this movie rules.
I'm fairly regular in terms of my, like, okay, if I have a movie on, I'll probably be doing something else as well.
Yeah.
Like either having my Switch in my hands or on my phone or something. When this sequence started, I put everything else down and said, okay, movie, you have my attention.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, I can't miss a second of this thing. Geez,
right, that's what it felt like.
I mean, I will say, this thing zips by, and we've seen some movies with bad pacing. And one of the things this movie does is it just keeps going like, oh, you thought that was insane? Watch this!
Yes, there are several moments where I had to pause it to write down notes because I'd start writing something down and Maggie'd be like, we have to go back. No. You just missed the most insane thing.
Yeah, most of the time I have time to write. I was the same thing. I was struggling to keep up with the mounting insanity of this movie. Because this scene at the nightclub also establishes just how serious this movie takes itself, because we hold on a shot of the air vent where the partner was shot to see the blood coming out of the bullet holes and then dripping down to the floor, and then we cut back to Van Peebles' face as he's just like realizing what's happened, and he's so upset and he's giving it 100%. I love it. That is why that is such a key to why this works. Is Mario Van Peebles is like, I am in it. This is the biggest trauma that's ever happened to me right here.
Yeah, he really plays it too. Like,
well, it's one of those things where we go, we're kind of not used to actual actors in these movies. Marty Van Peebles
Yeah.
does do stuff where he isn't in action movies too, and it's like, oh right, this is what like an actual dramatic actor is in a film when you see them. So let's see here. But I do like that the partner's not dead from any of this. He's just in a coma and probably going to die in the hospital. So we get him in the hospital.
We devote a whole scene to Mario Van Peebles like consoling the woman he was about to marry and go off with, and be like, he's about to leave the room, but then she says, I'm going to stay with him in case he wakes up, and then he decides, no, I got to be here for her and my partner. Oh, it's so good. It's like, it's very high drama.
It's very high drama. Well, and then the fact that the next scene is him in marriage counseling or couples counseling, and him just being like, yeah, I'm a fucking cop, and that means there's some shit I can't talk about.
Oh man, the whole subplot with him and his wife having marital issues is probably the weakest payoff of this movie.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
it's like the one extraneous thing that's like, why is this in the movie?
Well, and especially considering given how it resolves, just makes it raises so many questions.
Yeah, I don't quite understand. At the end, I will say, they kind of bobble the last, like, 5 minutes of the movie. The actual climax is fucking great, but the
resolution,
the denouement kind of epilogue thing, I was like, okay. Because the movie does such a good job. Just when I thought it was going to run out of steam, it raises everything 10 times crazier, which is great. Because I was like, oh man, I'm kind of getting bored with it. Oh no, but then so we'll get to that though. But yeah, I do love. I mean, at this point, I'm going like, man, they're just giving me every classic cop movie in the book now, right? Everything where you're just going like, you don't understand the things I've seen when I'm on those streets, and I'm going like, yeah. This is the kind of cop movie we love, Listman, where it's like no bearing on reality whatsoever. This is where, people talk about propaganda and stuff. I am all on board for hero cop movies if they take place in a total fantasy world. We also talked about Cobra, right? Where it's like, well, dude, if criminals were like that, we would need a cop like Cobra.
Right, exactly.
Or Stone Cold, any of that.
No,
the key is cops can be like that if criminals are super criminals. Then we're fine with it.
I do want to mention the actress who plays Mario Van Peebles, Max Steyer's wife.
This poor
really
woman,
quick.
Just to how little she has to do in this movie.
She does, but don't worry, because this same year she starts working on Diagnosis Murder and then does 178 episodes.
Oh, so she is, what you're saying is she is just actually, I know, and I've seen, well, number one, okay, I've seen a lot of Diagnosis Murder.
She was also on 776 episodes of The Young and the Restless. So
well, and there is a lot of crossovers we've talked about on almost every episode between soap opera people, and she was also on The Rich and the Ruthless, which I may have been, no, it wasn't a spinoff, but it was in that same vein. She has continued to work a lot.
Is that the key to making the title of a soap opera is the something and the something else? Is that
I think
figured it out?
Yeah, I think that's it exactly. But anyway, she's a working actress, continues to work to this day. It's just this movie, total nothing part of the wife.
Doesn't really give her much.
But even she,
I think she's only in 2 scenes in the whole movie.
Yeah,
because she's not there when he comes home later. She's already left, so she has the voice line.
So she's in 3 scenes, right? She's in this, and then the
surprise birthday
party, and then the epilogue.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh god, the surprise birthday scene is nuts.
What up? Just the most awkward birthday celebration I've ever seen on film.
So while this is happening, though, we see a mysterious person in a police uniform enter his partner's room, and I thought murder him with some.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, because he injects a yellow serum into the guy's IV and walks away, and then you hear him flatline.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I thought, oh shit, there's like gonna be. I knew this was a werewolf cop movie, but I thought it's gonna be like, okay, so he's got to join the werewolf cops to find the killer inside the department or something. I didn't think.
No, it's so much crazier.
But you didn't suspect him injecting his partner with wolf juice? That's not what you were expecting?
Because I didn't know. I thought stupid me. I thought we were going to be dealing with sort of classic werewolves here. I didn't realize, well, which we are kind of too, though. But I didn't know we were going to be dealing with like scientifically created werewolves and werewolf serum and stuff in this thing.
The explanation for what the drug.
And that's
is
where
so
this
crazy.
movie like lost me a little bit until that third act twist was just like, oh, science werewolves, lame.
Well,
because that's a thing we've seen in a bunch of like mediocre sci-fi and fantasy movies where it's just like, oh, they're basically these monsters, but we also made them via science.
It also made the title not make sense until the third act, because I'm like, why is it called Full Eclipse if the moon has nothing to do with it?
The original title of the screenplay was The Pack.
Yes, and for the until the third act, I'm like, that makes sense as a title.
I actually still think The Pack might have been a better title in general.
I think so too.
Yes, and also the Eclipse thing is kind of doesn't make a whole lot of. Well, we'll get into it, but
not really.
But it also that's the genius of this movie. There are subtle like clues throughout to say that this is kind of a werewolf movie, because we see the silver bullet being made in a little bit, and you're just like, oh, wait, if they're chemical werewolves, why would silver bullets matter at all?
Gergoni, you said the genius of this movie.
It is. For what it is, it is genius. I think
it is very well constructed. Like everything adds up, Everything
in terms of cable-produced werewolf police dramas. Yes, this is the exception, the best of the bunch, man.
John, I wanna retort your disbelief with the motorcycle scene that happens later, and tell me that that's not genius.
Well, because what we're gonna find out
genius.
is the partner doesn't die; he's back and he's fine. Like the next day. And
like the very next day, he's in a coma, and then he's totally fine.
Mario Van Peebles is going, what the fuck is going on? I think this is the most real. Once again, it's so nice to have an actual actor here who's actually playing like, what the hell's going on here? Like
realistically baffled by like what is happening in front of him.
Well, what's great is that Mario Van Peebles is us, right? He's the point of view character, but he is also having the same reactions the audience is having in terms of guys back on his feet, and we're going, no, this isn't normal. You shouldn't just be walking around.
No, something's wrong here.
Can I ask you guys something? So we don't see his partner do any gun tricks before the werewolf was introduced. No. Does being a werewolf make you better at using firearms?
Yes, it does, because we see other werewolves doing gun tricks. We see other werewolves doing gun tricks later when they're getting ready to go into. We see this is apparently a werewolf trait of like spinning guns. This is also very
you become an old west like.
Once again,
have you ever seen a dog with a dog toy going and like worrying it? This is the same thing, but with people and guns. They just gotta spin it and like, it's a fidget spinner, but it's got bullets.
You also want to talk about it's a deadly fidget spinner.
And his partner does use a revolver before the wolf juice is introduced?
He does. Okay. He has a revolver when they go into the vents.
I wanted to make sure because... First of all, I don't think police officers generally carry a 6-shooter.
Well, that's also a very Lethal Weapon, because Danny Glover carries a revolver. And it's like a thing in Lethal Weapon where they talk about, man, you're the last guy still carrying that, because he's supposed to be like an old man.
Most of the time, the service weapon's not going to be a revolver, but there'll be times when, like, okay, if you have a backup weapon, you might decide to carry a revolver.
This guy's primary
like
weapon,
snub-nosed 357 or something.
Yeah, but this guy's primary weapon is a 357, like a full barrel, not a snub nose.
Again, they are officers, not detectives. Why would they have special dispensation to do any of this stuff? But
I mean, Van Peebles are carrying dual Berettas. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
There are two things that bothered me throughout this entire movie, and that is the fact that Max Dyer is just an officer, despite all the things he does.
And I don't understand the point of that. Why not just call him Detective Dyer, and that wouldn't be an issue, and it wouldn't change anything, because everybody else would still outrank him being like captains and lieutenants and stuff.
Right. The second thing that bothered me throughout the course of this movie, and just going forward, I'm going to stop mentioning it, is all of the cougar sounds.
Yes. Oh my god.
Non-stop.
It was so weird. I'm like, this is not a wolf. They know that's not a wolf sound effect, right?
Oh, by the way, I was gonna say Bruce Payne. This is not his only werewolf movie. He's also in Howling for the Freaks.
Oh boy. So
wow.
something that happens, and we don't have to comment on it every time, but it's something that happens throughout the movie. Whenever somebody is talking and they've got like their werewolfness coming to the surface, the soundtrack is backed by like growling sounds, and if they're doing something in an action moment, there's the classic like wow kind of like cougar sound.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very it's the same cougar sound that plays during explosions in MacGruber.
MacGruber, yeah, exactly. So are we led to believe that cougar sound is coming from the wolf, or is that part of the soundtrack?
Unclear.
Or a werewolf?
Unclear.
My guess is that in whatever audio editing suite they had for this movie, there were 4 animal sounds that they just kept reusing over and over again.
Man, HBO's only shelling out for 4 animal sounds, man. So by the way,
there are technically 6 in the suite, but if they use the elephant noise or the rooster crow, that would have been a dead giveaway.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was so hard to resist hitting those buttons at some point, though.
Yeah.
This makes me want to write a spin-off of this movie, though, called Cougar Cops.
It's wereleopards, like wereleopards versus werewolves.
But they're also older women.
Yeah. It works on 2 levels. Cougar cops.
Exactly.
They're sexy middle-aged female cops. I love it. So he's back in action, and then immediately the most fucking insane drive-by shooting happens. They've got fucking Kalashnikovs coming out of this car and just opening up on who? I don't even know who they're targeting.
I thought they were targeting the partner.
They maybe. Who knows? They don't hit him or even come close. They seem to just be firing wildly at people on the street. Also, drive-by shooting in the middle of the day on a crowded, like, business street.
Yeah,
Insane.
Pretty unprecedented. Yeah.
Once again, if this is happening...
The crime is elevated. There's no rhyme or reason for the violence. It's just violence.
I don't think this is the first movie we've seen, Listman, that's taken place in Crime City. A lot of movies we watch just take place in Crime City, the home of crime.
What I also appreciated about this next sequence is that it also indicates like a normal city level of traffic in a given area, as opposed to just, those empty streets in LA.
Well, which once again further adds to the insanity of the crime itself, though, that it's like a busy street that's hard to get away on, full of people, and look, most drive-by shootings, I think, happen in the middle of the night and are targeted at people. They're not like just, crowded street full of people. They don't often involve military-level assault weapons.
It's an ice cream shop that they're shooting up?
Like a bodega, I think.
Yeah.
A bodega? Okay.
Yeah.
Because he's arguing with the owner about the non-dairy ice cream,
because the werewolf side of him is making him very angry about their vegetarian options.
Yeah,
that's
now that is either a werewolf or just a citizen here in Portland.
Tough to say.
So they're in pursuit. Mario's in the car, but his partner's on foot. And he's leaping from car to car. I mean, oh my God, this sequence is incredible.
Yeah,
it just felt like something out of a Captain America movie.
It really does.
The traffic is moving, and the cop is running atop the cars, and so when he gets to the hood of one car, he'll leap to the next car so that he can move faster in the traffic.
Isn't that kind of that scene where he chases the Hydra guy in the first Captain America movie?
Yes.
There's some car leaping. There's some other stuff in there, too. This movie only has car leaping because of budget, but... Like that, some of this did feel that way, and I like that each leap is farther, and then they do the $6 million man thing where we're just under him, and he just leaps across the frame from where to where.
I was almost expecting a. It
had that vibe to it because it is supposed to be like.
Instead, it was a cougar roar.
It's a cougar roar.
Like it's.
Because eventually he leaps up onto a bus, and that's when he gets the angle to fire on the escaping criminals.
Who are nobodies, by the way. They're just random criminals in this movie.
There's no connection to like...
We eventually get to like mobsters, but even they're so like in the background of stuff, and you're just
Ill
like,
defined.
Yeah.
What is the
Yeah.
motivation there? I
just-
don't know.
it's going, yeah, I don't know. But this also feels like a supernatural enhanced Lethal Weapon scene, because this would
Yes.
be Mel Gibson does this kind of stuff in those Lethal Weapon movies where he's leaping across cars and stuff like that. They just are like, what if he had? I mean, this movie is basically just like, yeah, what if Lethal Weapon had werewolf powers in it? Yeah.
But also, like,
A
the
thought I
goal of
had.
these cops is never to arrest these people. It's always, well, they've committed crimes, so now they must be executed in the street.
Yeah. We're in a Judge Dredd style scenario here where the cops are
Very
judge,
much
jury,
so.
and executioner.
Yeah.
When he leaps onto the back of this guy's motorcycle, though.
Oh.
Because
Oh.
he shoots the driver, and the other guy in the car busts out, gets into traffic, grabs some guy in a
Doesn't
motorcycle,
just grab,
throws that
mows-
guy into the sidecar.
Mows
and then-
down a bunch of people first. He just gets out and starts shooting people. Then
Oh,
gets
random
on the
people,
motorcycle.
yeah.
You're just like,
Yeah.
geez, let me get in a couple more murders while I'm doing my escape.
Yeah. Just for good measure.
This is absolutely insane.
And then I believe his partner, is chasing the guy in the motorcycle, loses him for a second, and then leaps over a building to the next street over to get to him on the motorcycle.
Indeed, have that. And then he leaps from atop a bridge at some point too, and
Yes,
down
like a
off of the bridge.
huge jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, he's doing this, and we just keep cutting back to Marvin Van Peebles going like, "What?"
As he should.
As he should.
Dude, I thought it was crazy. This guy's back from the dead. Now he's doing fucking superhero jumps. So he's on, and then listen, is this what you're talking
How
about?
does the sidecar get disconnected?
It hits another car, right? Or it hits
Oh,
something
that's what it is.
and
Okay,
just comes off.
Yes,
Like
okay,
it's a cool effect of the sidecar hits. I don't know if it's a wall or another car.
I think it's like a bus or something.
I think it is,
Yeah,
and it's just
sure.
the sidecar just stops, but the motorcycle keeps going forward. It's
Yeah.
But
pretty
yes,
awesome.
this sequence.
When the guy is shooting him repeatedly in the gut, and he's just taking
Yes.
the bullets. And once
Yes.
again, squib work like nobody's business. Blood is pouring out of this guy's abdomen, and he's just like, "Arrgh."
Yeah, and you see him getting a little bit more werewolfy. The soundtrack is getting a little bit more cougary, and he clamps his hands down on the guy's hands who are on the motorcycle handles,
Oh my god!
revs it so that they go faster.
And then in something that only happens in an action shelf movie, a motorcycle hits a brick wall and just explodes into a fireball.
Oh, John, we're missing the one-liner here.
Oh, what was the one-liner?
You have the right to remain silent.
Yeah,
right before he hits the wall.
That's right. This movie doesn't have a lot of one-liners. This is one of those movies where I was like, debate. That is a one-liner, though. There's no question.
I've written down a couple. That was definitely
there's a
yeah.
few, and they're few and far between, which I don't like. I feel like if you're gonna do one-liners, you need to go all in on them. This movie,
Yeah.
parts of this movie have one-liners, parts of it don't. Down the stretch, there's a few. They start giving the bad guy several, and I'm like, wait a minute, you weren't quipping earlier. This movie, all of a sudden, it picks into. But
This movie has
the
one of the most insane lines I've
yeah.
which when we get to it, we'll get to it. But
Well, there's a yeah. But when this hits the wall, and I mean, and literally the motorcycle, the motorcycle doesn't even explode. It turns into fire.
yeah,
It transmutes into a chemical reaction.
I was like, yes, this is everything we're looking for on this podcast. And then, and then Marvin Van Peebles was like, oh my god! And then his partner just walks out. Now here's my question: wouldn't his clothes catch fire? I understand Why are the clothes immune?
Because
Shouldn't
it would be a big hit on the insurance of this movie, and they probably don't have a lot of
I'm just
money
saying,
to begin with.
it seems like there should be a flame he's like patting out or something, or at least like scorched and smoking. I just like
He was a little like smoke coming off of his shoulders when he's walking out.
A little bit, but the suit is intact. Like it's just, I just think it's so funny that we see it. Why they have their super suits on later when they get blown up in the van and they're fine. I guess those super suits are something like the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. I'm surprised one of them didn't turn to the other and say, or yellow spandex.
Oh, it's you know, the X-Men movie is still 7 years out, but these are proto Singer X-Men costumes. No question.
100%.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I'm going like, man, they were ahead on the black leather outfits.
I think these honestly go a little bit farther because they do have the head stockings with the cheek coverings for some reason. That was such a thing in 90s X-Men.
It is, it is totally just aesthetics of 90s X-Men. I couldn't believe it when they put those outfits on. I am going like, and Marvel Kunsu, I guess it's not. It's close.
All of their guns are like extremely overwrought, a la Cable and every other 90s character who had
like
guns.
Like I said, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't even need the director to be like, well, I was very inspired by the X-Men comics. No fucking shit, man. Yeah, those are, I mean, right, people go on IMDb and look at Mario Van Peebles' gun on the poster. It's clearly a Desert Eagle, but there's stuff added to it, and it's over-designed.
Yeah, those are the ones with like the laser. Right?
Yeah,
because they all have guns with laser sights.
And that laser sights are real, but the mechanism, which I thought was so bizarre once again, because I'm going, well, this movie's not set in the future, but everybody's got like future guns.
I mean, and again, that was just a thing straight up from 90s comic books of like, all the guns are huge, and what do they do? Who knows?
This guy, they're carrying Cable guns in this thing. There's no question about it.
If a character was created by Rob Liefeld, they had guns like this character does.
I was waiting for executive consultant Rob Liefeld credit in this thing, man. But once again, please don't take that as a complaint. I am here for it, man. There is a part of me. This is always something I argue with a friend of the show and Monsters co-host Brendan Jones, which is he's a bit older than us, but I'm going like, dude, there is a part of me that is into those 90s comics because I grew up with them.
Sure.
I realize they're ridiculous, but I can get into pouches and stupid future guns.
There's a nostalgia there.
There's a nostalgia. Yeah, sure. I recognize it's far from the height of the medium, but there is a part of me that's like, I mean, I am a Cable fan and stuff like that, because there is a part that's still like, fuck yeah, future cyborg with a big gun. Love it. So his partner's totally fine after a motorcycle turned into fire somehow. I couldn't believe it. By the way, I had it written down that was a donut shop that they were arguing with the guy about when the shooting started.
You're right. It was a donut
because
shop,
they're cops.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you guys get? It's very subtle. They're cops.
Oh
man.
Okay.
Wow.
So when they go to the police, but I do love this movie has like as many of the cop character actors you can get. Once Dean Norris shows up, and it's just like cop. Is Dean Norris always a cop? I think he is, and also he was one of the cops in Lethal Weapon 2. And here he is just basically playing the same character, which is, I'm the other cop who's going to go, hey, how's it going? I'm kind of not involved in the plot, but I'm going to have some back and forth with the main character. Dean Norris, also a guy who, this is, probably almost 20 years, a little, maybe like 18 to 20 years before Breaking Bad, and he's still 50 years old somehow.
Yeah, he's always kind of had the shaved head, I'm settling into middle age at age 25 look.
He's probably in his 20s here. And he looks 48.
When was he born? 63, so
he's 30 in this.
Yeah.
He's 30 here, and he easily looks 45 to 50. And he always was playing like, hey, I'm a cop who's just been on the force, But I love it because number one, he's a good actor, but number two, it is just like he does just immediately read as cop.
Well, he found his niche.
I mean, it's given him a career for decades.
Yeah.
I love Dean Norris, man. We
got Dean Norris, and we also have Willie C. Carpenter, who's shown up in 1,000 things as the senior officer.
Oh yeah, man! If you need a captain to yell at somebody about, God damn it, you wrecked half the city, it's this guy.
Yeah,
we
100%.
saw Listman. He's in one of our favorites, Hard Target, though.
That's true.
We do love Hard Target. It's talk about an actual John Woo movie.
Yes.
But yeah,
Yes.
so these are the guys there, and holy shit, it's this is crazy what's going on here, because I do like what is it that gets Mario Van Peebles the medal?
That was the nightclub thing.
Okay,
That's what gives him the medal.
It's yeah, which makes sense, but the way it's done is like that motorcycle chase happens, and then we see Mario Van Peebles getting a medal. I'm going, wait for that. Oh no, wait, it's the thing earlier. It's kind of weird editing.
Yeah, and it's also extremely strange because at that point in the film, his partner is back up and walking around. Why wouldn't he be getting a medal too?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, well, all you did was get shot in an air vent, so.
It feels like that medal sequence should happen after his partner kills himself in the bar.
Yeah.
Or something. Or before the motorcycle.
Well, because that's where we're getting
Yeah.
to. We see the medal ceremony, then we see the melting down of the silver dollar and then casting it into the bullet. Cool. I mean, being a monster movie fan, I always love the creation of a silver bullet.
How did he know he was away?
Oh yeah.
I mean, he heard all the cougar sounds.
It is
Well,
true. He knows something's going on with him.
Sure.
He then jumps to
obviously.
werewolf, and then jumps to obviously the myth from movies and comic books of a silver bullet killing me will work.
He was so certain that the silver bullet would work that he brought the silver bullet with him to meet Mario Van Peebles to kill him in front of Mario Van Peebles.
The guy's also a huge asshole because he really makes a meal out of his own suicide here. Like he forces this bar to be traumatized by watching him shoot himself.
in front of his best friend and partner. That's pretty fucked up.
Holy shit, movie. This is usually there's like some implication that someone shot themselves. You see the gun go off in this guy's mouth. I don't know how they did this. They didn't have digital technology, but you fucking see the flare of the gun in his mouth.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it was like brushed over the footage. You know what I mean?
I should hope so, because otherwise, it couldn't be a real gun. It would kill this guy even with blanks.
Yeah. Even
as we know, blank guns are dangerous even still. And there's the famous story of the guy who died on that TV show fucking around and put the fake gun to his head and shot himself.
Right, yeah.
Or that person that Alec Baldwin shot.
Well, in that case, somebody stupidly put a real bullet in the gun. I don't know how that happened. But yeah.
Or Bruce Lee's son also died from...
Brandon Lee died from a really freak weird thing where a bullet got lodged in the barrel and then the blank shot it out.
Yeah,
which is
very
crazy.
strange.
Yeah, so there's so I don't know how they did this, but whatever, it was disturbing to see.
It was a lot. It was a lot for sure.
And we get another no from Mario Van Peebles.
We do get another one because the first one was very good because he was shouting no while diving through the air, shooting two guns.
What was the point? Oh yeah, while leap through the air while shooting two guns.
And shouting no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Either shout no or villain. Those are the two things you have to shout.
The best, I think our favorite is still from Demolition Man, where Stallone leaps out of the helicopter shouting, Phoenix! That's the best ever. That's one of the best scenes in the history of cinema. I'm sorry. The thing I was gonna say is, what's with the choice to make the person casting a silver bullet a mystery? Because you just see hands making it, and you're not sure. Is the idea to make us think, is someone hunting werewolves now?
Yeah, because we still don't quite know what the whole werewolf deal is in this movie at this point.
Right.
And even I was just like, wait, hold on. He was injected with some stuff that made him have beast powers for some reason. We're still unclear about the whole werewolf thing. So when you see the casting of the silver bullet, that is just using the audience's knowledge of werewolf mythology, of what's going on. In fact, it's not until later that it's revealed that that silver bullet was cast by his partner to kill himself with.
Right.
It was his.
And also,
lucky
if
silver
you're
dollar.
watching the movie without any previous context, like if you're just taking face, you don't know it's a werewolf at this point, right?
Yes,
so
conceivably. Yeah, right.
We
yeah.
know it's a werewolf because we knew the basic gist of the film.
And
but like,
throughout, I would say 2/3 of this movie, I kept thinking, why did it have to be werewolf at all? It seems like it's just enhanced abilities. I didn't understand. I kept going, what? This movie didn't need to invoke any werewolf imagery. Of course, by the end, they do justify it, which I was not expecting. But I did just keep thinking, like, it's weird that they chose to go with werewolf stuff, because it seems like it should just be like, oh man, this gives you heightened strength and agility and stuff like that. That would be...
Well, it could have very easily just been a simple Jekyll and Hyde thing where like, oh, this gives you enhanced strength, but it also brings out your more like id and instinctual stuff, so you don't listen to your higher brain
and honestly,
functions.
I think that would be the A action picture. Like if this was a Stallone movie, that would be what it is. And it's a little bit more grounded, like they have the sci-fi element of the enhanced thing, and it would lean harder into the drug aspect of it, is what I think. But
and less into the Wolverine.
Oh my god, the claws in this movie.
Or it's not even knuckles. It's like coming out of like...
It's coming out of the second knuckle on their finger.
Yeah.
It's coming out of like...
Very strange.
Because they still have fingers under the claws. Because... I'm sorry.
It's like Freddy Krueger almost.
A werewolf shooting a gun with the clawed hands is one of the greatest images I've ever seen in my life.
And you can get an idea of what the clawed hands look like if you go to the poster on IMDb. There's also a shot from it looks like the VHS box cover of the German version that really shows off the claws on the back cover.
The back of the VHS, does have... it is basically more of people just going, look at them claws.
And they're coming out of the second knuckle on his finger. So like you've got the knuckle attached to the base of your hand. I don't know the names of all these bones, but then the second knuckle down, and that's where the claws come out of. So you've still got like a little bit of a digit underneath the claw.
Oh, it's so weird. It's such a weird design. But I'm here for it. It's a crazy movie. So they tell him, because all this trauma's been going on, you need to go talk to this guy Guru, Adam Guru, because he's in charge of the name. What did they say? Isn't he in charge of like the counseling of cops or something like that, or the well-being of officers or something like that?
Yeah, officer well-being chief or something.
Did you guys see this in the trivia? What the word Guru means?
Yeah, it means wolf.
In Middle French, it specifically meant werewolf.
Yeah, well, the loup-garou is an old French mythology that is where the werewolf like mythos comes from.
Oh, I know, because there are werewolf movies that lean into that.
Well, and I wanted to bring up the plot of this movie is shockingly similar to the second Dresden Files book, which makes me think that like, and obviously that book was written way after this
Jim
movie.
Butcher saw this.
Yeah,
I went.
Yeah. Well, because that book does have this plot where these FBI agents get werewolf powers, and it kind of like goes to their head, and they take things too far.
I mean, I honestly, good on Jim Butcher if he saw this and thought, well, I could maybe kind of take that in a better or like flesh that out.
And that book also does the thing where it's like, okay, there are different kinds of werewolves, and we're going to deal with all of them. So we've got the loup-garou, which is like the super big monster wolf thing. You've got the like what's called Hexenwolfen, which are like people that can have magic belts that turn them into wolves. Then you've got the lycanthropes, who are people that just like access primordial wolf spirits to give them berserker powers.
Gotcha.
And you have all of these different factions of werefolk kind of battling in Dresden in the middle of it, going, what the fuck is going on?
But is there wolf juice? That's my question.
Wolf juice!
No, that is purely a full eclipse invention, and I'm here for it.
Okay. Come on, man. How is there not an
brown
energy
wolf
drink
juice
called wolf juice?
It's viscous yellow wolf juice in most of the shots.
Yeah, that's true.
It's piss colored. Let's be honest, really, what it is. It's pretty gross looking.
Like piss color if you're very dehydrated and
it's like I'm in trouble here. So let's see. So he goes to see Guru, who is played by the ever evil Bruce Payne. I mean, a guy who just screams bad guy.
He's got a bad case of bad guy face.
And bad guy voice and everything about it is just like, come in, sit down. Yes.
Yeah.
And he's just like, no, I'm just worried about you, detective. He goes, you should join my support group for other traumatized officers.
And the way he talks in this scene is just like, okay, either this is a group of werewolf cops or he's inviting him to become part of some kind of like ultra right-wing cult of like extremist police officers.
And dude, even when he goes to the meeting, the way these people are talking, it still could go either way. Because when they're talking, because he goes to this guy's insane mansion apartment. What the fuck is this thing? And
he's like, I've been saving up for a while for.
And by a while, I mean centuries.
Yes, I'm 400 years old.
Because of course, that spoiler, that will be a thing that he will discover later. The guy's been alive for like hundreds of years.
I think this is one of those scenarios where we have to like spoil the ending to retroactively like talk about what this guy's
the
deal
reveal
is.
at the end is that Guru is an actual real deal supernatural werewolf. And he can inject people with, I'm sorry, is it his brain juice specifically?
Yes. It is his brain juice. Because the line that
the line you love is it's the play on the anti-drug commercial.
Yes, is the great. It may be the greatest. Well, it's up there because obviously there's the line.
Do we even need
you
to
ain't
talk?
lived until you got head from a vampire.
Which
but like,
did that didn't win last year? Did it? Did that win the Shelfie?
Could have. I actually don't remember.
I don't remember.
No, you know what? You know what won?
Oh,
it was,
from fighting.
Where did you learn to fight? Yeah, from fighting.
From fighting.
Yeah. No, this line. This is my brain. This is you on my brain. Any questions?
Yeah.
And my response to that was yes. So many questions.
An infinite number of questions. We're gonna be here all night with my questions.
So yeah, he's drawing like this yellow liquid from his brain.
Yeah.
And he's not even distilling it.
He's just putting it in vials.
Based on what that other cop who is imprisoned who Guru kills later in the movie.
Did you see who that was, Gorgoni?
The makeup was covering it.
Joseph Culp.
Holy shit, really?
That's Dr. Doom from the fucking Roger Corman. Yeah, that's who played that other werewolf.
Huh.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
We love that guy, actually. He is cinema's best Dr. Doom.
He is the best Doctor Doom that's ever been put to film.
Joseph Culp.
Low,
by the way, Listman, Joseph Culp, son of Bob Culp, who we've talked about on this show.
Have we? Who? What
he was in Mercenary. He's an old TV actor, but he was in Mercenary, and he's the guy who we'd always talk about who refers to himself in the third person. When Bob Culp sets out to direct something, Bob Culp asks himself one question: what would Bob Culp do? That is a story from, once again, friend of the show, Brendan Jones, who saw the aforementioned Bob Culp do an intro to a movie he directed and did apparently talk like that.
Wow.
Great.
Bob Culp's got to ask Bob Culp one question: what would Bob Culp do?
But anyway, what Joseph Culp says is that whatever the wolf juice is, strips their glands and like forces this like permanent transformation. So my thought is the wolf juice that Detective Guru is withdrawing from his own brain is some kind of like gland secretion that then he's like giving to these people.
It's gotta be, right? I mean, that's the only thing that could possibly be that would fit exactly what you're saying. It's got to be something along those lines. By the way, I thought Joseph Culp was good in this too. He's a good actor.
I mean, he's got one scene, but it's good.
But he's got one scene that's like his scene. In crazy makeup once again.
So to rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's Guru's deal.
That's the
straight
whole
up
thing
werewolf
who
is creating demi-werewolves from his brain juice, the wolf juice.
He will ensure all die before he leaves town. Also, how is no one putting together? Like,
because
no one has...
Mario Van Peebles is.
He does, but it's before More Event Peoples. Nobody put like, oh, you came from Miami. What happened to? Oh, everybody under your command died. Well, that's pretty irresponsible.
But that's the thing is, it's heavily implied that the command structure of this police department is on board with what he's doing.
Kind of, because our one angry captain character isn't, and he will
eventually
be unceremoniously murdered.
Eventually,
because it's honestly it's on Guru, whose tactics raised to such insanity that nobody could back him anymore. Like this guy is not playing it cool as a werewolf cop.
No, he's murdering
not playing it cool as a werewolf cop.
He's murdering large amounts of people in
whole groups of people
in very grand ways that he is then taking credit for.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like the whole like outside party that he slaughters, does nobody look at like the corpses and be like, there's a lot of like claw marks on these people. Like what happened here?
And like human-sized teeth wounds,
bite marks. Yeah, exactly.
Here's where we get some more of the. Oh, go ahead, Grani.
Well, this is the bit where because to rewind to where we are in the movie, Mario Van Peebles shows up to the PAX luxury apartment in the sky.
The Wolf Den, if you will.
Yeah.
The Wolf Den, which is where we get introduced to this plethora of rando werewolf cops and also the female lead of the movie, which is Patsy Kensit.
Patsy Kensit, Mel Gibson's love interest from Lethal Weapon 2.
Right.
That's why she looked familiar. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, lest we forget, even love can be a lethal weapon, Listman.
Who has also been in 113 episodes of Emerald Dale Farm, 169 episodes of Holby City.
I don't know what the fuck
to
these
name
are.
Some. Oh, these are absolutely just daytime soap operas.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, okay. Look, she's not a great actress. I will say she's kind of the weak link here.
You know, she's fine, but I would agree.
And also in Lethal Weapon 2, I don't think she's like amazing in that either. You know, she was okay. You know, once again. So she's here. And we also, you talk about other cop actors. This other guy, the cop with the gambling problem, is how do you pronounce his name? Jason Beggy, who is the star of NBC's Chicago PD, which is this guy always stands. I've never watched an episode of Chicago PD, but because the Chicago shows are just ridiculous to me. I'll stick with my Law and Order. Thank you.
Well, hey, John, lest we forget, he did play the exact same character in 3 episodes of Law and Order Special Victims Unit. So this character transcends the franchise.
Well, that's true. It's all under the Dick Wolf banner. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
But I actually did not remember that he does pop into the Law and Order universe. But the whole thing, when that show premiered, they had these insane billboards that stick in my memory, which were just like a close up of him in his leather jacket, and it's dashed out, but it basically said, "Not in my fucking city." Because his thing is just like, I'm a cop on the. Now you want to talk about like legitimately problematic shit. That show seems to, I've never seen it, but once again, the whole attitude is just like, I will fuck you up, crime. And you're like, man, in today's climate?
The concept of crime.
Yeah, get ready, because Chicago doesn't take this shit. You know, you're just like, boy, oh boy, I'm not sure that's the way to advertise a show anymore.
Yeah.
But hey, man,
it was a different time.
It's still on now because they've made 188 episodes of that thing. Jesus Christ!
How many fucking Chicago shows are there?
There's at least 3: Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, Chicago Med, and
are they all in the same universe?
Yeah, and they're constantly crossing over with each other. Yeah.
Okay. And then there was the failed one, Chicago Justice. Okay.
Oh, Chicago Justice. Yeah, it was the lawyer one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one didn't go. Okay. I don't understand how one wouldn't go. Like, I don't understand the idea that if you watch the other 3, you'd be like, I've had enough.
Now, is the bear part of the same universe?
Yes,
The show The Bear.
The Bear was originally called Chicago Food.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And then they went, we're going to kind of go our own way with it. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
and I believe also the musical Chicago was part of the same cinematic.
Well, that's how it's originated.
That's the prequel.
Yeah, that's where it started.
Chicago, yeah.
Yeah.
All the characters are
okay.
derived from that original musical.
Right, yeah, that
my
makes sense.
fucking city. Crime doesn't stand in Chicago. Yeah, no.
The cop blows away a criminal. He had it coming. Yeah.
I swear I saw a gun.
Yikes.
Yep.
Yeah, so anyway, but just this is another guy who just reads cop once again. He's and
Yes.
still is doing that every week on NBC now. But his whole thing, everybody here has had some kind of trauma, but they're also, you want to talk about problematic, they're all talking about, yeah, man, these fucking laws don't let us know what needs to be done. And so immediately he assumes what I would assume. RM Peoples goes, oh, so what is this? Some kind of vigilante bullshit? And goes, I'm not cool with any of this. Especially, you guys, like all these white cops sitting around going, yeah, this fucking scum of the city. And the one black guy being like, I'm going to go because this shit seems toxic.
Well, because Detective Guru is like, wait till you see the demonstration, then you'll definitely sign up. And I like how he sees them don Wolverine claws and like brutalize like a outside party. And they're like, this'll get them to join for sure.
The lead up of this is so. You have to imagine. We don't really see this, but the idea is like, come with us on this demonstration. They get in a van. They put on crazy skin tight black outfits with these headpieces and crazy future guns, and then they go, here's a pair of night vision goggles, we're gonna go over there, you just watch what happens. And then
just don't ask too many questions when we all shoot up with some mysterious substance before we kick
that's
this
another
off.
thing where he goes like,
don't ask about that.
What I love too is when he goes, what the fuck is that? And they're like, what, you don't take vitamins, man?
It's the flu vaccine.
Yeah.
Don't you get it?
Yeah, don't you get a flu vaccine? And I just up to this point, Mario Van Peebles is so just like any of us would be like, yeah, I don't think I want any part of this shit, man. This seems
I do
really
appreciate
bad.
how realistically he's behaving in
And
all
actually,
of this. Like, what the fuck?
Continuing throughout the movie, he to be fair, werewolfery, as once was mentioned in one of the monster movies we watched over on Meet the Monsters, we're still obsessed with the term werewolfery, is forced upon Van Peebles. To be fair, he consistently is like, no way, man. Because, I'm sorry, I don't care. Because, he watches through night vision goggles, which I do respect. Maybe it's a budget savings thing, but I actually thought it worked, is just seeing the killing from a distance through the binoculars. Actually, I thought was effective here. I actually think, this director, this movie's not poorly directed by, once again, cable TV movie standards. It looks pretty good.
There's a legitimately amazing shot later in the movie when he tries to stop the helicopter from taking off. Like that circling shot as he's like trying to crack shots off at the helicopter was awesome.
Well, this
and
guy,
you only see him when the spotlights cross him, you know?
Yeah.
You see the gunfire go off in the darkness. It's very cool.
Hickox is a B director, but Waxwork, Hellraiser 3, these are real deal horror movies that they're in the B arena, but these aren't like utter shit that he's working on. So he's a decent director who knows what he's doing.
Unlike most cinematography, like at worst, what you should be aiming for is be totally bland and like don't draw attention to it, right? It's just like the worst cinematography is going to be stuff that makes you go, what the fuck, why is it filmed that way? The perfectly average cinematography is just like, okay, I don't even notice the camera movements. Truly great cinematography is when you're just like, oh shit, that was a well composed shot. So, and I think this dips into the latter category a couple of times in this movie.
It does. And when I'm looking at the you mentioned cinematography, I'm looking at the DP on this thing. This guy comes from, he was a DP on the Wonder Years. He shot the pilot of the 1990 Flash show. He did People Under the Stairs with Wes Craven. He goes on to
so like a long time working director,
and a guy who'd done a lot of genre kind of stuff. So
point of fact, Sandy Sissel.
oh yeah, I just it just downloaded the picture or whatever. I just that fine. Yeah, awesome. And also was in the camera department, wasn't the cinematographer, but worked in the camera department of Master and Commander, a gorgeous looking film.
Yeah.
Stunning
Sweet.
movie.
Oh,
so I mean,
very
once
cool.
again, yeah, she is, as you're saying, Listman, just an experienced, and yeah, it does feel like this is a movie that doesn't have a lot of money, but there's a couple points that they chose to go, yeah, we can go kind of cinematic with this shot. Yeah, I thought the same thing about the helicopter shot where I go, hey, that looks like a big movie shot. Like that being like
it does, yeah.
And we're not used to that on this show. I couldn't believe there was a helicopter in motion in this movie.
I know.
That's so rare in an action shot. I'm like, oh my God, they paid to fly a helicopter. And it's
not stock footage at all.
It's real, and it looked good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they go and just fucking massacred these drug dealers.
And we're told it is like a dinner party for a bunch of gangsters that they mapped.
It's very Punisher kind of murder to just like show up where the mob is and start killing people. So
you got to assume that some of those are just like spouses and kids that don't have anything to do.
Hey man,
and
they're all
didn't
in
look
the
like
game.
they were leaving the catering staff alive either. So
leave no witnesses. Leave no witnesses exactly. But hey man, they're all in the game.
Oh, yeah. Well, the game does not account for werewolves. All right.
No, yeah. And then
They're changing the rules.
I also love the idea that he would see this and go, "Oh, I gotta get involved in this." Yeah,
right.
That looks like something I want to be part of. Oh my God.
But he plays it cool. He goes, "I'll get back to you."
Yeah. Have my people call your people. We'll see if we can reach some kind of thing.
And this is the part where I feel like the movie establishes what the police district is kind of endorsing this behavior, because he does go and tell his captain like, hey, some real weird shit is going on.
Yeah. Lieutenant Guru there? Yeah, I watched him and his friends tear apart a bunch of people last night. That's not cool, right? That's illegal, right?
Right.
And
the guy plays it at least a little bit cool, because he's just like, they pumped themselves full of something, and I could barely believe my eyes. They turned into roided up monsters.
Yeah.
I didn't see everything, but it's really fucked up, and I think they should be reported.
The captain's attitude is, hey, mind your business, buddy.
Well, because he's just like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Why are you?
But then also goes, oh yeah, and you've been transferred to Guru's unit, so congratulations.
Yeah. So clearly whatever he's doing and the backlog of corpses Guru has left in his wake across all of these different cities is not as big of a concern as the imaginary rates of crime in this version of LA.
It does feel a little like the thing where they're just like, the crime rate's so bad, all right, we've got to choose unconventional tactics. Greenlight Guru's program, or whatever.
It's worked in, what did he say? Miami, Denver, and Boston?
Yeah. I guess, except for, once again, all of those special units are dead, apparently. Nobody bothered to look into, well, it did reduce the crime rate, but it killed the entire team doing it. It worked out,
the
man.
Needs of the many, I don't know, John.
It's like, I need 6 officers. They'll all die, but your crime rate will come down. I can live with that. It's crazy.
And the truly fucked up part is what we learn is that Guru is the one who kills them all at the end of every successful operation.
Because talk about no witnesses, man. They can't know about the werewolves. I kind of wish in a bigger movie or a comic book would probably do this. I wish the LAPD was just fully in on the werewolf part of the plan. That would really, if they're just like, hey man, or it's like, we don't want to know. We've seen some shit and we're just turning our heads. I didn't see. Did you see a wolf man? I didn't see any wolf man.
Maybe if it was a comic, there'd be more space for that kind of narrative. I do think. I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine. Because this movie's lean. This movie's
lean. I mean, that is the thing where it's it does. it works to its benefit in terms of an
Yes.
action shelf movie, in that it races into insanity. But there probably is a slightly better version of this that could more slow roll this stuff and actually get into the mythos more. And that's why I'm saying I can't imagine this would cost anything to get the rights to. So somebody should do a comic book of this idea at least.
Oh, and obviously the continuation thereof of like, oh, well, the criminals have figured out they're up against werewolves. We need to escalate. Time to get some mob vampires in here to fight the cop werewolves.
We watched we just recently did an episode of Meet the Monsters where we watched a vampire mobster movie. So
Nice.
Get that in there. Yeah. Crazy.
You come to me on the day of my daughter's.
Or now that they figured this out, we got some Frankenstein drug dealers on the rise.
Oh no! It's the invasion of the Egyptian mob and their mummies.
There we go.
We just got in from Cairo.
Are there any good guys in this universe? I feel like no.
Werewolf cops, vampire gangsters, mummies trying to take over the city. Yeah, it's crazy talk. You get people raising the dead. There's an army of zombies running around. Dude, this is a great idea, actually.
And caught in the middle of it is District Attorney Alex Van Helsing.
Yes!
I was just about to say.
City of Monsters. Dude, I'm gonna.
God, it writes itself.
I mean, that's this. No, it really does. I've got to stop coming up with ideas. I've got to stop. Like, I have too many monster comic things going. There's just so much potential in it. All right, so oh my god. Okay.
I just want like a swamp thing, like a swamp thing down in down in like the I don't know.
Louisiana.
Like,
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, so let's see. Then we go to one of the guys' weddings. Oh my god, this scene is fucking nuts.
Well, it establishes something from earlier where when his partner came into the bar and decides to kill himself, he leads that conversation with, I'm leaving my wife / fiance, and I'm doing this for her protection, and then I'm also doing this for everyone else's protection. Bang, I've killed myself.
Yeah, I don't know that you need to say you were leaving your wife if you then blow your brains out like a minute later. Seems like that's
pretty
implied.
evident.
Yeah. I'm leaving my wife like this. Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
But no, so here the guy, we see him like he's tweaking up here, man, as he's listening to the vows at the wedding.
Well,
and I love all the werewolf cops are like front row at the wedding.
Yes. Well, this is a classic cult behavior, you know. You need to drive a wedge in between member and other people who might like help bring them out of that organization.
That's something, if you were to expand this to a longer form, getting more into the cult mentality of this work. Because they want to build the pack mentality, and there's a hint of that cult, but once again.
But they can't quite, there's not enough time to like fully get into.
Right. You can't. No. It's still got to be a 90-minute like B movie. So I do. Yeah, he's just like, I can't. I'm sorry. I cannot do this. And he really makes a meal out of storming out of there.
Yeah. Well, he did murder a bunch of people the night before with his wolf claws. So
yeah. I like it's Patsy Kensett's character Casey who's like, he did the right thing. I think that was a good call.
I just think it's so crazy that she wasn't asked to. Well, I don't know when like sex scene happens in the narrative.
It's the next scene, actually. Yeah.
Okay, because like the fact that it's revealed that she wasn't asked to sleep with him, I thought that was a tactic to bring Mario Van Peebles in. Oftentimes, cults will do that where they're use sex as
But another cult thing is the possessive nature of the women in the cult.
Yes.
So there's
that is also true.
It still does sort of thing where it's like, she's mine.
Yeah. Yes. But it does seem like she's very much trying to recruit Van Peebles.
Well,
but she even goes and says to Guru later, hey, you told me to get him on board with us no matter what it took, and so I did that.
At
least that's what she's telling herself in terms of why she sleeps with him in the next scene.
But she also is kind of the one who maybe is on board with the werewolf stuff, but not as on board with Guru, it seems like. She's kind of ill-defined, I will say, in the script.
Yes.
Because she's meant to be sympathetic and like, well, maybe we can... I love what I'm about to say is so... Maybe we can use these werewolf powers for good, really. But I don't know that we should be following that guy, you know? Even though he is the source of our werewolfery.
Because we have Officer Perez where he just like you said, freaks out and leaves his own wedding at the altar.
I think there's a moment where he's like, "Don't stand up, Dad. I know what I'm doing." Like,
I was literally just.
I see it, Dad. You're gonna say something. Don't do it.
I was looking this up to see if the timeline matches up, and it absolutely does. This would be about the time when steroid usage was like a big deal in news and in terms of when it was like the term roid rage was popularized a couple of years before this.
Somebody even says steroids at some point in the movie or juicing.
Yeah.
There was some of it. Yeah, no, this definitely was, and especially in like sports.
Well, because the whole Mark McGuire scandal would happen a few years after this, and
Jose Canseco and Barry Bonds, all those traitors to the game. No, I still can't believe Alex Rodriguez is in the Hall of Fame, but I'm not here to start yelling about that anymore. But he's a fucking cheater, and we all know it.
Different podcast, John. Different podcast.
The sports podcast I don't have, where I just scream about Yankees. Fucking Yankees, man. Okay.
Because literally the next scene is Patsy Kensit kind of seducing Mario Van Peebles with wolf sexiness.
Oh my god. The sex scene that like gets close to, it's weird because this is an HBO movie. It gets close to like softcore porn, but then kind of just veers away. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's
graphic, but oddly short and kind of cuts out sooner than I expected. Weren't you?
It's Showtime, not Cinemax.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
It's HBO.
Exactly. Yes.
It's HBO.
It's HBO.
Yeah. It's just interesting because I was like, odd restraint from one of these things. Like I mean, it's still it definitely gets into, but the director really wants to play it more as the animalistic nature of the sex than the like it's hot stuff per se.
Well, to the point where we even have her like going mid transformation during the sex. So you see like when she's gripping the couch and her claws are coming out, and you see her fangs coming out as she's moaning, and it turns into this weird psychosexual situation where it's like, are we equating being a werewolf to having a continual orgasm? I think we are.
Sign me up.
I mean, well, it makes everything better. You know? It's
it's like
you don't want none of this, Mario Van Peebles.
But also violence better. It makes both. Very very
But so the we get that, and then she's like, okay, so now that we've gotten down, do you want to take some of this? And he does two separate jokes about drug PSAs because he goes, I think I'm gonna have to just say no.
Well, and I actually really do like his line here as he's leaving when he says, I don't mind you asking, just respect my answer.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, wow, that's a surprisingly mature take on drug use.
It is. And then I was really surprised, though, that the NBC's The More You Know logo came up after he said that.
that was unexpected for sure.
And so then she just shoots him in the chest.
Yeah, well, then we leap straight to, well, if you're not going to take this drug willingly, I'm going to force you to take it by murdering you.
She shoots him in the chest.
The first of many times where he's forcibly drugged.
Yeah. Because she shoots him in the chest and then does a very creepy like, shh, it's gonna be okay. Just embrace the serum now. Here we go.
Doesn't she drink some of it as well?
Well, she does that before they have sex.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I did think that confused me when she did that because I'm going, well, do you drink it or do you inject it? You can't. It wouldn't be both. I don't understand.
Well,
it is both. That's how wolf juice works.
Yeah.
However,
John,
it gets
you
in
don't
your
know
system.
how wolf juice works? Okay,
Wolf
let me break this down.
juice!
On a chemical level, no.
Like most drugs, you can ingest it in several different ways. Obviously, if these people were really thinking above and beyond, they'd be smoking that shit. But we're not quite
oh my
there
god,
yet.
I would have killed to see somebody pouring wolf juice into a bong in this movie. I would have killed to have seen
Like
that.
hashish oil.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
Werewolf hookah.
oh, that's good shit right there, man.
Oh my god.
God damn, that would have been funny.
It's a suppository, you know.
Oh god.
Well, when there's the thing is people are getting high on just small doses. It's like mutant growth hormone or something like that in the X-Men comics, right? Even more.
Mhm.
But like something like that would eventually be the thing, right? Where people are like micro dosing wolf juice.
You just have little like tabs you put on your tongue.
Yeah.
I'm so sad nobody fell into a vat of wolf juice at any point in this movie.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
that should have been how this scene happens. Actually, is like, you don't want it? Well, too bad. And they push him off a thing into a vat of it. And then because then you could really do the Wolverine thing and have him explode up out of it with the claws and be like, ah.
No, instead we get this like very explicit. This whole next chunk of the film is really rapey, and it made me pretty uncomfortable.
What? Wait,
Yeah,
no,
not great.
No, but I think I did write down in my notes, not an action shelf movie without a rape scene. So,
Well, not only the explicit like sexual assault, but this part where she's turning him into a werewolf, where she mounts him and injects him, and it's just like shush, 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 let it just happen, let it just happen.
It is
very like, whoa,
That's what I
don't
saying.
know what's happening here
It's-
anymore.
It's so viscerally disturbing to watch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
As he is penetrated with this injection, right? Like it is sort of like he is forced. Yeah. I mean,
Then like her insistence that like, no, don't worry, you'll enjoy it. Like it's very upsetting.
If the drug parallel is there, imagine this in like a drama where somebody's forcibly being shot up with heroin or something like that. That would be utterly disturbing to watch.
Yes.
Like
And this character is supposed to be sympathetic. Which again, if she was being manipulated to behave this way, it's like, no, this is for the betterment of mankind. I mean, like that would be interesting.
I think that's what they think they're doing. The movie just doesn't, because she is doing it.
But she doesn't have any realization.
No.
She doesn't have any moment of like, oh no, I've been lied to this whole fucking time. She's already hesitant, even though she
does, but
somebody.
She has that moment, but then it is immediately followed up by she's dead. So we don't have any time to really reflect on that.
Welcome to the action shelf, man. Women aren't going to survive very long in these movies.
No.
There's a lady, she gonna die.
Because we then like have him. Max Dyer goes through his first transformation, and you see him kind of wolfing out. He gets the weird bumpy forehead from Buffy the Vampire. He gets his Wolverine claws, and now she's like, "Okay, now that you've had your first dose, we need to go kill a lot of people. Let's go do that right now."
And so they just drive to the ghetto until they find a drug lab.
Boy.
Right there. By the way, which one's the drug lab? Oh, the one with the steel door mounted on it is probably that's probably it. And I like the ghetto kid who's like, "Are you gonna do something about the house with the drugs?" And they goes, "You don't stand a chance."
Can I take your keys?
Yeah, because you.
It's like
die.
You're clearly going to die. Yeah.
Yeah, but then Patsy Kensit just peeling open this metal door. Now I feel like we are back on the Green Mile with that effect, Gorgoni. That was
pretty Hulk
70s Incredible Hulk thing. And then I love the approach of what we're gonna do is we're gonna bust in, roar and bare our claws, then just take as many fucking bullets as they shoot at us, and then when they're out of ammo, we murder the shit out of them.
I mean, if you've got a healing factor, that's not the worst strategy.
Because that is what they do here. But then I do love, because we saw earlier, they were pretty much just tearing people apart at that first thing.
Yes.
Here they're now packing heat too. And werewolf shooting guns is maybe my favorite thing in cinema now.
Yeah.
If this movie didn't do that, it would have been a letdown.
It
honestly.
really, well, because
a werewolf shooting a gun.
As we're talking about, they still have the fingers with the claws. So you've got Mario Van Peebles firing guns while these big claws extend out over them, and it's pretty fucking hilarious.
I'm sad he never like stuck his claws in somebody and then fired the gun. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm
Like,
pretty sure
that's-
Wolverine
I'm
has
sad
done
never-
that. So that's what
That makes sense. Yeah.
Because it is always crazy when Wolverine has guns in the comics, you know? Kids, just go read Wolverine comics. They're good. They're good for you. I grew up reading them, and I turned out, okay.
Relatively speaking.
Yeah, and so this is more slow motion gunfighting. We're doing John Woo. There's not as much diving here because you get the sense like, well, with the makeup, we can't have him move around too much. I will say,
And also, you don't need to avoid bullets, so you don't need to die.
that's true. It's true. I will say it is clear where they are being like, look, we can only get the makeup in the movie like 3 or 4 times. You can only get a few werewolf scenes. We got to pace this stuff out for budget,
You talked about squib work earlier. There's some great bits here where you've got like drug lab equipment exploding and the backs of people's shirts just annihilating as they're in theory being shot.
This feels like the lower version of the RoboCop drug lab gunfight. Once again, you talk about them borrowing stuff, which is very much the same idea where like stuff is being shot and drugs are going, spraying up into the air, the powder of it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
RoboCop is kind of the better version of this movie. In terms
And
of
see,
like,
John, this is where we differ because you like the science fiction more and I like the fantasy more. So if it's RoboCop plus werewolf, like I don't know what to tell you here.
You can't say this is a better movie than RoboCop.
I'm not saying it's a better movie than RoboCop. I'm saying I like it more than RoboCop.
That's still crazy talk, but yeah. But you are talking to somebody. RoboCop is a top 10 all-time movie for me. I love RoboCop so much.
I can differentiate between I know it's a better film, but I enjoy werewolves with guns more than robot cops.
The movie should just be called. I mean, we were talking about the time. It should just be called Werewolf with Guns. Come on, man.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Well, there is Wolf Cop is a movie.
That's true.
There is a Wolf Cop. We wouldn't do that on here because that is trying to be arch. That wouldn't count as an action shelf movie. It's not sincere enough. That's the thing. Because that's what makes this movie. This is trying to play total sincere badass action.
Oh yes.
This is never in on
100% sincere.
That's why there are things where I'm going, well, they've got to know that that's like a joke, right? But the thing is, maybe they do. The movie won't tell you.
That's what elevates it, right?
No, absolutely. Because as soon as they're in on the joke, that's when I lose interest. But it is the total sincerity of this movie and the performances. So now
there's an earnestness for sure. Yeah,
we finally get up to the mob boss now because I guess the ruining of this drug lab is the final straw, and he's like,
56 minutes into the film, this character.
I know, and I did think, wait a minute, is this the main bad guy? Of course, Guru will end up truly being but yeah.
Well, yeah. Is this guy just supposed to be a red? Oh, I guess.
Yeah, I guess he's just like a mobster. Like he's just a regular mob boss.
Yeah.
It's meant to set up that there is some kind of greater organization of crime in this place, and that they are aware of the weird monster cops that have been murdering everybody.
Well, because I like he tells his other guy, he goes, "You go deal with Guru and his cops by whatever means necessary." Yeah.
Also, this is a character named Teague, played by Scott Pollan, who's just a working actor who's been in 1,000 things.
Yeah, he looks familiar, but not from anything specifically.
Yeah, but his response to the lower underling who comes to him going, "They were a bunch of monster cops," and he just goes, "Yeah, we knew about them, but we just hope they'd go away."
Yeah.
Like, we would lay low.
Oh my God. Did you see on Scott Pollan's resume is another iconic werewolf movie, Teen Wolf?
Yeah, I did see that.
He's also in Teen Wolf, so which is a classic. Not Teen Wolf 2.
That's probably for the best.
Yeah. One of my favorite scenes in the movie, when the captain comes to talk to Guru and he's just doing parallel bar gymnastics exercises for no reason.
Evil gymnastics routines is a staple of action shelf movies.
Well, there's something so funny about
sure.
a guy
Yeah,
just having a conversation while he's like flipping around. He's like, "What is it, Captain?" You know,
And the captain's not like, "You have more lights in here?
Yeah.
This It's pretty dark for some reason."
you know, he gets up. He's toweling the sweat off. What can I do for you, Captain? And this is where he goes like, "Well, you know, you've been wrecking a lot of the city, and we kind of want to see some like tactile results of that, because you are mainly causing chaos right now." And his whole thing is just like, well, that's what it takes. First, I have to burn your city down, then crime can go away. But
Yes.
And this is also where Guru learns that some random drug house has been hit, and Guru didn't personally say it was okay to do that operation.
right, exactly.
Because he needs to be in control of Pac.
And so
He's the alpha.
yes, he is.
Again, if you know anything about wolf science,
Is
it's
so-
not a thing.
I mean, yes. I was fully expecting this movie to dip in. Maybe it's a little before that kind of caught on. But I was fully expecting this movie, that kind of terminology.
The alpha aspect of it works here because he is the only werewolf. Really, it is the werewolf,
right.
and then it's almost more. I mean, in some ways, this would have worked better as a vampire because it wouldn't, because you wouldn't have the werewolf stuff in it. But it has the vampire logic of, I'm the guy who sired these other werewolves, right? And therefore they should follow me. And that has a little bit more of the The vampire thing has a more inherent cult aspect to it when you talk about that, Lisbon. I feel like in horror movies than werewolves.
Well, I think it could have worked just as well with a vampire thing if you're talking about, well, I've used my supernatural biology to create with science something that is like me but lesser than, so that I can have control over it.
Yeah.
They're never going to go full furry werewolf monster thing, but they're going to go like monster enough that I have a team of super people, but I still remain superior. It's very, like we've talked about cult stuff. It's very cult leader.
It is. I I really want to see this guy figuring out that his brain juices can make other werewolves.
Oh, and again, we get this implication here
comic.
That this guy's been operating for, like you said, like 400 years.
Yeah.
And he has, there is this long backstory of him going full mad alchemist to master his werewolf biology.
I want that montage scene where he's trying different stuff and he finally starts draining juice from his brain into vials and stuff like that.
Well, it's him like caging himself up on the full moon to figure out what precisely is going off in his brain that triggers the transformation, and then he isolates that part of his brain that's causing it, and that way he tries to extract the juice to stop himself from being a werewolf, but that doesn't work. But then he still has the juice, and he's like, what can I do with this juice? I'll give it to this guy. Oh, now he's part werewolf. Interesting.
I love the idea. I just love the idea of because the other scene I want is a werewolf filling out a notebook with like a pencil. With the claws go, interesting.
A werewolf in therapy. I see. No, you're saying like he has like a full scientist, like white doctor's jacket and like glasses and a stethoscope.
Maybe he's in like a chalkboard with like formulas.
He's got a chalkboard. But he's like clawing it in with wolf claws. Yeah, exactly.
I must try it.
I would love this guy's origin story. I would imagine he probably infected somebody at some point so that they were full werewolf, then killed them, dissected them to figure out where the gland was that he could withdraw.
There's
you know
an
what
idea.
I mean?
There's an idea. Yeah. So we get the scene where he confronts Patsy Kensit, and he's like, "What the? Did you?" And I mean, this he turns into De Niro from Raging Bull. Did you fuck him? Did you fuck him?
Yeah,
because it is just she goes, well, you said, well, first she goes, I'm sorry I shot him. He goes, oh, I don't give a shit if you shot him. What? I'm mad that you fucked him. Like,
yes.
Yeah. and it gets real gross, and then there's some sexual assault because he's like,
There
you only
sure
sleep with me because I'm the big wolf here.
And here's the kind of disgusting shit we watch on this show. This is pretty tame sexual assault. It is but the beginnings of implication. There is not a, we're gonna, as promised, we are gonna get to those Death Wish movies, which are very disturbing.
I wish it would.
Yeah.
You got to get.
I mean, it's
the Death Wish movies are always like, well, you got to get past the graphic rapes so you can get to the insane gunfights. But
right.
Yeah, those movies are of their time.
And yeah, that's when we hit this point in the movie. I was just like, movie, this better be as gross as you get, because I was like on board, but now you're losing me because science werewolves are boring to me. And now we have a sexual assault, and I'm not really into it.
So he uses claws to slash her face. And then we get this scene where he pushes her bloody face down his chest.
I was wondering about that, because there's a lot of...
And I couldn't figure out, okay, it seems like this is going to be some sort of forced oral sex, but it also seems like he's somehow just enjoying the blood getting on his chest, too. It's a weird scene.
I don't know. It's weird.
Gross. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't. Yeah. I don't know what they're going for. Is I guess what I'm saying.
Blood plus sexual assault equals it's all gross. I mean, this scene is meant to like really show us that whatever his motives, Guru is a bad dude.
Well, I love the idea that it's like, before this, I thought Guru was a good guy, but no.
Well, based on like the levels of violence we see in this crime fantasy LA, like some of his methods do seem justified at certain points in this film.
It's completely out of... The only difference between him and Van Peebles is the werewolf. But the behavior... The behavior is still very similar.
Van Peebles does let the other guys shoot first, I guess.
Yeah, Guru does have like a preemptive strike mentality we're going to kill these people where they live first.
I agree, Listman. They are both dropping a lot of bodies. Like,
yes,
it is still the same result, which is a bunch of dead criminals. And not a lot of
dead civilians as well.
Well, yeah, caught in the crossfire. And actually, one might argue that Guru's tactics lead to less dead civilians because they're a little bit more targeted. Now, there was some discerning at the lack of discerning at the at that dinner, maybe. But hey, if I attack them in their homes, they're bullets.
This next sequence they have with the team goes out and like butchers this crowd so they can send a message.
First, we have to talk about the surprise party, though, which is at the bar.
Oh God!
Which for about the first 2 minutes of it, I thought for sure was a dream sequence. Because it's shot in this, like, the camera's kind of doing this wavy, like, whoa, and it's supposed to just be he's like tripping out. But when he comes in and it's a surprise party at the bar for his 30th birthday. And then when they go, here's your silver medal, and they go to pin the silver medal, and it starts smoking. And why isn't anybody like, what the fuck was that?
Because,
they were kind of like... Yeah, go ahead.
To reiterate, as Max Dyer is entering the scene, he is just coming down off of the high of being full on, I killed a bunch of people werewolf. So he's still hopped up on wolf juice. And
he's got the blood fever.
Yeah.
So he's doing that, and so that means the camera's doing this kind of like ship on the ocean, drunk kind of view thing, which I thought, is that what? Because once the thing starts smoking, I thought that's so public that I'm a werewolf. Oh my God, this is like he's gonna burn up and then wake up, but instead, no, it's very real.
Well, especially when his wife, who has abandoned him at this point, shows up and said, "Oh, your friend said I should probably be here, and I still love you." It felt very surreal.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then he immediately turns into like a monster. They start making out, but then he goes way too hard at it.
Yeah, way too aggressive. Yeah.
And
then he's like, "No."
Yeah, I can't. Part of me wants to tear you apart.
Yeah. Well, and that's the implication we get from all the other werewolf people is if you have a relationship with a normal person, you will end up hurting them, and you can't do that once you've gone full wolf.
Yeah, a normal person can't have werewolf sex.
No.
Yeah.
It's like that scene. It's like that scene in Jessica Jones where Cage and her
Yeah.
realize they both have superpowers, and like, oh, we don't have to hold
God,
back. Great.
I love that. Jessica Jones, I said the first season because the other two seasons, but that
I
first
kind
season,
of like the second season, but that first season is
the first season though is one of the we always talk about how sex scenes are often unnecessary. That show uses sex scenes so well to convey character. I really applaud that show for actually showing that in a way that matters and is important. So when the pack comes into this party though, and they're all slow motion walking in formation, this is so goddamn funny to me.
And people are just like, these fucking weirdos. What are they?
They're the cool kids on the force.
They're walking like they're the cool kids. Everyone else is looking at them. They're like they're the weirdos.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got Dean Norris going, these guys are cops?
And like the wife is like looking between them and Mario Van Peebles. What is the connection here?
Oh no,
and
he's in
Mario
a
Van
police
Peebles
clique.
is looking towards Patsy Kensit and Guru being like, oh no, there's been a reestablishment of dominance here. And it's all conveyed via expression, which I found so like, oh, this is a good take, movie. You're not having any dialogue to clutter up the emotions here.
Oh God, my estranged wife and the girlfriend of my boss, who I definitely slept with last night.
Right.
What's a werewolf cop to do?
There's maybe a reason a lot of these people ended up on soap operas.
Yeah.
And once again, that just like 90s butt rock, like boom, the whole movie has this like, because once again, it wants to do the Lethal Weapon like cool guitar as score, but it doesn't.
Yes.
It just doesn't have Eric Clapton doing that like the Lethal Weapon movies do, which really adds a lot to those films.
Yeah,
because Eric Clapton, he's pretty good at the guitar, I guess.
He's pretty. I think people like him. I don't know.
And so then it is this cliquish thing where he's like, "Hey Dyer, let's roll," and he goes out with them,
and they kind of kidnap. They grab him and drag.
Yeah.
Own birthday party.
And then I think is that the captain guy just goes, "Well, I guess that was some party." Ugh. Like he is like, we went to all this work and then he just leaves with his new cool friends. Dean Norris is like, also, I thought we were best pals.
Also, we don't cut back to any sort of reaction from his wife as he's dragged away.
No, this movie could give a shit about this woman, really. It really
Which is so much weirder considering how it all ends.
It's so weird. And also, it's such a monster movie thing would be to have them together and have her going, what is happening to you? Instead, she was just upset about the police were making him weird. We never get the like, and what's become of you,
Yeah, why are you behaving this?
Yeah. No, we have implicit I've joined in this ritual at the end of this movie.
So weird.
I can't help but notice, but when you do things, I can hear the sound of a and it's very I don't know where it's coming from.
So they suit up because they're gonna go to work, but when they get in their van and start the engine, it explodes. And it explodes, and the I love these mobsters going like, "Yep, we did that. That sure was a good explosion, boss.
Great job, boss."
Yeah, and
it's a good thing I get that big black bomb with that long fuse underneath their car. Boy, I hope my white and black striped shirt comes back from the dry cleaner soon.
Yeah, they use the same bomb Batman was running around that dock with in the Adam West movie. It does, and that they watch from their cars, it explodes. Then for reasons I don't fully understand, they walk down to the smoldering thing so they can just admire it more. Like
I think they wanted to literally look at the bodies as they were.
Boss said to get some photos of scorched corpses.
And Jackie No Knees brought the marshmallows, so you know we're gonna have a toast.
Oh no!
Oh yeah.
The casting notes for this said "Goombas wanted." Well, we just came down the block from auditioning for the new Scorsese movie, but yeah, we'll be in this werewolf thing.
Sure.
We got 5 years before there's a Sopranos show to employ us. So, if you guys need some, but once again, they are like East Coast mobsters. Why?
Yeah.
This is L.A. and the guys are still going like, "Ooh, God, bagoo,"
Because mobsters only come in one flavor.
Yeah, it
John,
is like
and
for
it's
some
Italian.
Yeah.
they're Jersey Italian mobsters going, "Yeah, we done blew them cops up real good."
The marinara flows deep regardless of which coast you're on.
And then of course they're still alive, and it's like, "Gabagoo!"
Yeah, as these on fire exploded werewolf cops burst from the wreckage to slaughter these men.
Yeah, we just
To
see them come.
walks dramatically from the flame.
We just see them come at them. We don't see them slaughter because we cut back to the mob boss's house, and all of a sudden, there's a helicopter just above this guy, and he's like, "The fuck?" And
John, as the scene started, I'm like, bodies better fall through that skylight. And by God, this movie delivered. I was so happy.
Corpses of his men rain from the sky through the skylight.
It's so good.
With a note attached.
With a threatening note.
What does the note say? It's something like back off, or this is just the start.
You're next, love LAPD.
I couldn't remember what the note said, but I distinctly remember
Yeah.
I think it is something like your move next or something. Love LAPD.
Ballsy.
I know, it is like, this is the thing where it's like, are you guys cool with Guru using crazy mob tactics? And then not Lieutenant Guru, but specifically, the organization that is the Los Angeles Police Department is backing this play.
Who piloted the helicopter? Was it one of Guru's?
I don't know, because who's flying it later?
Because somebody piloted it.
The other
do they
woman
put Paula Marshall
werewolf
behind
pilots it later, so
Okay.
here's
So
the
we're
thing
led
that's
to believe. Because I like the idea of just a helicopter pilot being like, now what are we doing? We're dropping bodies into a building from a helicopter.
Hey, Lieutenant, why are you loading those corpses into those ripped apart corpses into the helicopter? I don't understand this.
Yeah, that seems suspect.
I just love the idea that the Guru has just carte blanche to use the police helicopter whenever he wants.
I guess so.
It's
yeah,
just like,
it does based on later.
I know it's but it's just like, it's so expensive to fuel this thing up and send it out there. Like LA police use the helicopter for like finding cars and traffic and shit. And he's just like, I'm gonna need that for about an hour tonight. And they're like, whatever you want, man.
Yeah. No questions asked. Don't worry about it.
He tries to return the exploded van, and he has to request a new vehicle. So,
oh my God, that sequence is so good.
One of my favorite scenes too. They come in all scorched, and he's just holding the steering wheel of the exploded van, slaps it down on the table, and goes, "We're gonna need a new vehicle."
So good.
And basically,
it's so good.
From the dropping of the bodies in that scene, he is a total psychopath to the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yes. And from this point on, I'm like, I would be okay if this 14 hours longer than it already is, because I love
right before this, when we talk about the stuff in the bar and that rape scene, I'm going like, that was where I was starting to lose interest in the movie, going like, if this is going to turn into a battle over Patsy Kensit between these two guys, that's boring. But then once this stuff started happening, I'm like, you have me back, movie. And yes, no, I agree, Listman. Before they even get into the werewolf stuff, I was on board for Guru's war against the mob for like 6 seasons of television. Because if it's just him doing crazy murders of mobsters, I am here for
Yes.
it all day.
Yes.
And as they're coming
definitely.
back into the police station, you say they're like burned and charred. I don't think that quite gives the idea of. So there's this thing in comic books where, as a superhero is fighting for their lives, their costumes are like regularly torn in provocative and like risque ways.
If you've ever seen the way an action figure be described as the battle damaged version of a character. Is how battle damaged Spider-Man. The end of the first Spider-Man is a good. What Tobey Maguire's costume is a great indication of that. Yeah.
But in X-Men specifically, it would constantly happen to Rogue and Storm and all of the attractive female X-Men. Go figure. When they come into the police station, they're wearing these weird superhero, like black leotards with armor plating bits and pouches that are now artfully torn and charred in certain places. I'm like, holy shit, they're just stealing Liefeld drawings and slapping them on characters.
They like
fully.
I said, it is. I'm glad the guy acknowledged that he was inspired by the X-Men, because my God, it is clear where he is. Not in any kind of good way necessarily. It's purely aesthetic, like not in terms of like the moral messaging of the X-Men or the things that make X-Men actually like great. It's just the like 90s badassery of the images that he's taken. It's a real Zack Snyder comic book read. Where it's just like, I just like the aesthetics of what looks badass.
Right.
By the way, Zack Snyder for Full Eclipse remake, I'm here all day for it, man. That would be a perfect use of his filmmaking skills. And he would make it 2 hours 45 minutes.
I mean, I do kind of want a mini, like a 8-episode mini.
Yeah, listen,
I think that would be great.
I think you and I could write this, because I don't think it would take a whole lot of money to get the rights to this.
Probably not. Yeah,
write a Full Eclipse
I want to make a full-on cult like storyline, but with werewolves.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Yeah. So let's see. So at this point, we haven't even gotten to the big werewolf reveal. The movie's already reached what we thought would be peak insanity.
Well, because that's what happens next is we get Max Dyer is put on the trail of this by one of the desk sergeants being like, "Hey, Dyer, there's some weirdo in the holding cell downstairs who wants to talk to you."
And then Joseph Culp goes for his Emmy, because it's all like the way the moonlight is on him and he's not looking at Mario Van Peebles. He's got this crazy thing and just like, I was once a werewolf cop. Like,
he's Ron Perlman from the Beauty and the Beast TV show for days.
It is him, just like it is the werewolf's refrain, right? He's just going like, I too used to follow Guru,
and he's got like weird messed up makeup because it's implied that like, I took the drug for too long and now I'm stuck in this form, and it's like weird and globby and messed up now.
It's great, man. Joseph Culp is once again, as he did in The Corman, he's a perfect actor for this movie because he's fucking going. By the way, I did look up his career. I'm so glad he ended up in like 4 episodes of Mad Men. It's like, good. He is a good actor and he's in a lot of schlock. I'm glad he did end up in some like legitimately good drama.
Shit, he played FDR in a time travel episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I mean, he
remember that episode.
He went on to, he has done legitimate stuff, which is good, because I'm always like, he is really giving it his all in some bullshit in the 90s here. And the way he talks, by the way, we've recommended before that documentary Doomed about the making of the Corman Fantastic Four is great. And the way he talks about it, he goes, I read every comic I could, and I really got into the mindset of Victor Von. He took it so seriously. And it actually showed. He was good. But him doing this, and then, holy shit, he just gets fucking shot in the cell. That, I'm just going like, okay, movie, that's insane that would happen.
Yeah, because Guru shows up while this guy's spilling his guts to Max Dyer, saying like, you don't get it. Every other precinct he's worked for, everyone's died, and he's done this dozens of times.
And you have
the
to stop.
true villain is Guru.
You have to stop taking this. But I am also going like, there's like 15 minutes left in this movie. This is what we're speeding towards. Shouldn't this have been like the halfway point? I just like that it was like, Guru's the true villain, and the climax is starting now. But yeah, I do love Guru just sniping this guy in his jail cell and then being like, come on, man, we don't have time for this bullshit.
He's like, he came at you, right?
Yeah.
I was
No.
defending you,
Because
right?
I love the captain comes, he's like, "What the fuck, Guru? What's going on here, man?" Because you generally don't just gun people down in cells, you know.
Right.
And
Usually.
he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, he came at Detective Dyer," and yeah, it is that. Isn't that right? I always love this in movies when you can clear anyone with half a brain would go, "You're obviously both lying." Based on the, no one ever goes,
How-
"Isn't that right?"
Yeah. Then we get a research montage of Officer Dyer going through microfiche and newspaper clippings.
It's like the best moments of X.
Oh, it's
Is
total
where
X-Files.
this
man.
movie turns into.
It's the only
Yeah.
thing remotely detective-y that anyone does in this movie.
Yes.
And it is just, and this is where we get, like, he finds the articles that have pictures of Guru, but it's like, what's this? 1910? And
Yeah, and you see him slowly changing his name over the decades, and
tell you,
like he's been a bunch of different people and a bunch of different things. And there's an article from 1878, and he's like, "What?"
I love the one that's like cops break up Capone gang, and there he is. But there he is, by the way, the photo of him. This is totally my nerddom of watching too much law enforcement stuff, but he's in a very modern police uniform, and he has an LAPD badge. Because different cities have different looking badges. Police badges aren't uniform. So
Yeah.
he's wearing an LA.
Yeah.
It's clearly like a shot they took during this movie. You know, during
Yep.
this part of the story, and they put it in the paper about him busting Capone. And yeah, then there's stuff with him like he's chasing Jack the Ripper and stuff, right? With Scotland Yard back in the 1800s.
I was Jack the Ripper.
I wouldn't be surprised if this
really-
guy was Jack the Ripper, or Jack the
Yeah,
Ripper was also
yeah.
a werewolf or something. That would be something. Oh, there's a movie, by the way, a werewolf cop chasing werewolf Jack the Ripper.
Because then we have Mario Van Peebles going back to the wolf den to confront Guru and the other wolves to be like, "Don't you see, man? This is a drug."
Well, because this is where he goes. We see him sneak into Guru's place, and this is where we see him pulling the brain juice out. And you think it's just him, but it's everybody is seeing this. So now everybody knows what the deal is.
Yes.
Because it's the guy from Chicago PD who finally confronts him, and he's like, "I don't know about this anymore, man." And Guru just tears his throat out with his teeth.
Yes.
Because I love Mario Van Peebles' moment here where he's just like, "You don't get it, man. You're a werewolf." Finally catching up with everybody else who's watching the movie.
No, the line is great. This is what burned in my memory. He goes, "Man, you're a motherfucking werewolf."
Yeah, Mario Van Peebles says "motherfucker" so much.
It is
in this
great.
Movie. It's amazing.
It is going for a Samuel L. Jackson level of motherfucker.
Because I believe he says "sick motherfucker" is one of his.
Well,
perfection.
keep in mind, his father was a blaxploitation icon, and I feel like he is carrying some of that, like, "You jive, motherfucker," in this thing, which I love, man. I love that.
Yes.
Well, and he did that. He played his dad.
He did
in that movie Badass
Which
with
is-
all the S's from like the early 2000s.
Which is a really good movie, by the way, about his father being one of the architects of blaxploitation cinema, basically, and how that.
that sounds really interesting.
I highly recommend it. He wrote and directed and played his own father in that. Yeah, it's really good. About how Melvin Peoples. It doesn't get enough credit because his stuff was kind of low budget and schlocky, but he was one of the first guys to go, there is an underrepresentation of black characters, and that means there's an underserved audience. And so built a career out of going, I'm going to make stuff specifically targeted at black audiences that nobody else is. And then, of course, in the stories you would expect is once those numbers started to come in, studios did go, let's get some black movies going, baby, you know? And kind of steamrolled him, of course, then, unfortunately. But his dad, So, Badass is a great movie. I recommend do a double feature of that and My Name Is Dolomite, which are
Yes, I was just about to say that seems very thematically similar.
Yeah, they're both about
Dolomite.
kind of the birth of black cinema in 70s Hollywood, and they're both great movies. Actually, Dolomite is my name. the reverse. But yeah, really good. One of Eddie Murphy's best. Robbed of an Oscar nomination. Anyway, now I'm on another topic again. So anyway, yeah. So we get this. I was like, way to raise the stakes movie. When he just rips this dude's throat out, I'm like, oh, fuck. Yes, I'm on board. I am on
This
board.
is when I was fully engaged with this film again, being like, oh, so it's mad scientist werewolf making mini werewolves. Holy shit. I am so on board with this movie.
And so, yeah, I know. Because it was like, because they kept going like, well, he's a biochemist and invented this thing. I'm going like, are we just going to leave that as a vagary? Like, oh, I guess at some point he made this thing and we're just going to kind of skip past that. But the fact that the answer is 10 times more insane than that made me, so happy. Oh, it's so crazy. He's a real deal werewolf who's found out what makes him a werewolf and is sharing that with people.
And this is the moment where Patsy Kensett's character sides with Mario Van Peebles, and they both go, we need to get the fuck out of this situation.
Well,
meanwhile, the 3 other members of this gang go along with the plan.
My only thought about that is, I don't know if they're totally cool with it, but they did just see a guy who raised issue get his throat torn out, so maybe they're like, yeah, we're with Guru. Just shut up. We don't know.
That's fair.
The thing is, we don't know because they're not really characters, and they are all going to die in like.
Other than their introductory lines, they don't really have.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess that's the thing is he's specifically choosing like damaged cops, I guess, and stuff like that.
But no, because he's going out of his way to damage cops because Perez, the one whose marriage is interrupted, he seemed like he had like everything going for him.
That's
and
true.
Then all of this wolf cult shit is what fucked him up.
The Chicago PD guy had a gambling problem. That was his thing.
Yeah.
And Paula Marshall's backstory is her husband was killed and she was like badly injured or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
She was being taken advantage of because she was like a desk worker for the police department.
Yeah.
But then she got all wolfed up and was able to she's done a bunch of episodes of Euphoria. All right.
Oh, Paula Marshall. Here's the thing that I was bummed. I wish she was the man because she's actually a really good actress who's been in many, many things that I've seen her in. She was on Seinfeld. It's one of those things where I just go like, why is she the nameless other girl and less talented Patsy Kensit, who I guess is I don't know. Paula Marshall's very attractive too, just maybe not Patsy Kensit, and and also Patsy
a bunch of episodes of Spin City and Veronica Mars and
like I said,
Nip Tuck, which I'm sure people liked because it ran forever.
Oh, I was a fan.
It actually only ran for 2 seasons. Wow, I thought it ran longer than that.
Nip Tuck ran longer than 2 seasons. I watched all of it.
Oh, weird. Why is it listed as... Oh, never mind. I was reading the wrong thing.
Yeah. I was going to say, I definitely watched that thing into the ground.
She was only on it between the years of 2007 and 2008.
There you go. Yeah, she was in some of it. So this is where you get the leap out the window that is, pretty choice, man. Pretty choice.
So good.
They leap out the window and Patsy Kensit takes it hard because she actually reveals so she goes, yeah, I actually haven't been using the werewolf serum for a while. So this is fatal.
So when did she stop using it? She was using it when she got Mario Van Peebles on that.
Yeah, and I guess in whatever time, the timeline of this movie is unclear. I don't know how long
that's
a time
because how long has it been since that happened?
I assumed she stopped taking it after her assault by Guru, but exactly how much time has passed in between those moments, I have no idea. I mean, this movie could take place over a week. It could take place over a year. We don't know.
Yes.
And that is classic action shelf, my friend. That is pure
Very
action
much.
shelf. So I love it.
It's also very Shakespearean. If you think about it. Shakespeare played with time a lot.
I think you might be the first person to connect Full Eclipse and Shakespeare. Nobody
is Chicago PD guy the Yorick of this film?
Alas,
I think
poor
so.
Chicago PD guy. I knew him well.
I knew him well. Yeah.
So
No, that was his partner. That was his former.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yes.
Mhm.
Actually, I think he would be, yeah.
Mhm.
So she goes, I'm dead, but you need to stop Guru. Here, take this last injection I have so that you can wolf up and kill that guy.
So they go to right, because they go to the beach because for some reason wolf senses don't detect them on the beach.
Well,
Because
first
of
he goes,
salt water and
the salt water,
smells.
yeah, ocean air.
First, he goes
Yeah.
to stop him at the police station, but he's too late. He takes off in the helicopter. This is also where he just unceremoniously executes the police captain, Guru.
This is all after Kensett dies.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yes.
saying. She
Yeah,
dies.
she dies
He takes the
on the
injection.
beach.
Yeah, they're on. Yes, they're on
Immediately.
the beach.
Did you think it was like weird that he immediately took it and didn't wait until right before fight? Because he has to go
Well,
find
I mean that's another thing that's
before
unclear.
he comes down off of the drug.
It's unclear
I guess
how long it lasts for too. I don't know.
that is also true.
I assumed it worked like anabolic steroids in a certain way. That's why I drew the steroid metaphor so much further.
Mhm.
Is that like you do it to enhance something that's a part of you anyway, and
Right.
it just
Mhm.
pushes you past these limits that your body shouldn't be able to do naturally.
Mhm.
And also lets you grow Wolverine claws, but that's a whole other werewolf part of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
And so, like, the more you take, the more your body is pushed past that limit, and in order to maintain that, you have to keep taking it.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that. So he runs there, and this is where the captain's like, "God damn it, Guru, we gotta shut you down. You're really out of control." And he just pulls out a gun and blows this guy's brains out.
Yeah, that
Yep.
was wild. Which
Yeah.
is
I was like, okay, so you're done, Guru, right? You're moving on to the next city at this point. You've murdered a police
Apparently,
officer.
yeah.
Just like he's
The
lost
momentum of the
control.
film cannot be interrupted at this point. Like it is so kinetically
Oh
quick.
yeah. In case you were wondering if
Yeah.
we're in the third act.
There's
because-
15 minutes left.
Guru is saying they need this helicopter to go to this big meeting between all the mobsters that's happening at the docks, so he can kill them all.
That they tease earlier. I love this is like a well-known thing. That's well, don't you know? In 2 days, all the mob bosses are getting together for,
Yeah, the mobster's ball. We all know it's. We all know
But that's
it.
also
it's an annual thing.
conveniently happening on the night of the full lunar eclipse.
which is oh my god, the full eclipse. Oh, when did Godfather 3 come out? Because there is a scene like that in Godfather 3 where all the mob bosses get together and it gets attacked. 1990
On a lunar eclipse.
On a lunar eclipse. No, that's the thing. But there is a helicopter that comes in and machine guns a bunch of people. It's one of the good scenes in that movie.
Yeah.
a movie
Because
that just
Mario
doesn't
Van
work.
Peebles has figured out at this point that not only is Guru a werewolf, something happens on the full lunar eclipse every single time, so that he like kills all the other or all the other officers die during this event.
Yeah, which is okay. And it's when he's at his strongest and he's invulnerable. There's a lot associated with it here.
Doesn't
It's-
make. Yeah, they don't
it's
really.
its own
bother
wrinkle on
for
the werewolf mythology, because there are
Yeah.
certain mythologies of werewolf that's just like, okay, so they can kind of turn into a wolf whenever, but also they're at their peak during the full moon. Sometimes it's only during the full moon.
Yeah.
Sometimes like the eclipse will make it so they can't become a werewolf.
That would make-
Sometimes
see, the
eclipse
eclipse-
does other stuff.
The eclipse making them not able to become werewolves makes the most sense because the moon is blocked, right?
But you can't
What
start,
is it blo-
start
it's just-
thinking.
It's not. It's
Yeah.
not. It's
Yeah.
yeah. The moon is not at its full luminescence. So
But the moon is still full. It's just the sunlight reflecting off the moon is being blocked. What difference does
Yeah.
it make?
I don't know. This
It's-
movie.
I mean, the moon's always
I
there
mean,
too.
the thing I've
All
definitely
right.
learned from doing Meet the Monsters is the rules around these monsters can be changed based on whatever you need. My God, the mythos is
Yes.
never
Right. So when they said the full eclipse makes this werewolf unstoppable, I was just like, sure, that's the new wrinkle here.
it is, except
Why
for
not?
he's very dumb about it.
Well,
the
yeah.
lunar eclipse doesn't last like a long, long time.
No.
And so the fact that he's so fucking cocky about it here in the scene is like, dude, you've only got like another couple minutes. Like, I wouldn't be fucking
at most,
toying
yeah.
around with
Because
this.
Mario Van Peebles rolls up on them and it's just like, I've got a silver bullet now because I called my crazy doctor friend to make me some silver nitrate bullets.
That's no. That he has silver bullets. He has the injection of silver nitrate and like Demerol that he had that guy make. Because he shoots him with the silver bullet, and I thought for a second, I'm going, that's it? That's the end of the movie? He just shoots this guy in the heart.
Same thought. I had the same thought.
I kind of would have loved it if that was the case, where he's just like, what do you have there? A silver bullet? Yep. And he's done. I would have loved that ending. Life is a highway.
Roll credits. Life is a highway starts. Performed by the Rascal Flatts.
Yes. By the way, we often make the joke that the end credits song of a movie is "Life Is a Highway," and when we say that, Lisman and I always mean the Rascal Flatts version from the Cars soundtrack.
Always that one. Yes.
Never the original. He gets up and he goes, "Don't you know? It's a full eclipse." And I love that, by the way, the eclipse doesn't change the light at all on the ground. In the scene, it doesn't matter. But he goes, that's when nothing can stop me. And this is when I did start going, and the movie will do this, where I'm like, yeah, but the eclipse is only going to last a few minutes. It's not, I mean, I don't know. How long does the average eclipse last?
How much of the moon has to be covered? Is it
gradual process? Because he does say a full eclipse is the thing, so it's like, wait a minute, so that means it's like really fast then. If any of the moon is now like, So
whatever.
In which case, wouldn't he be just as powerful during a new moon?
Yeah, I know. Well, this is the
I guess.
This is this is basically the whole, by the way, to keep teasing that, this is basically what the whole Meet the Monsters thing is us going down these roads with whatever is presented. But yeah, so he gets up, and then Marvin Peoples runs off, not managing to save the rest of the team as they get ripped to shreds.
Right, because at this point, this is when the movie says, fuck it. This guy is going full werewolf, and we get this American Werewolf in London moment of, wow, he's a big furry wolf creature.
Oh, and it doesn't look great. It doesn't look great.
No.
Oh, I love this costume.
Well, I think it's perfect for the movie, but objectively, it looks terrible.
As opposed to American Werewolf in London, that looks awesome. This is what was that movie with the fake werewolf we watched, John? For Panel Up?
Fake werewolf. Wolf of Snow Hollow.
Wolf of Snow Hollow, yeah. There's a werewolf in that movie that is just like, it turns out, spoiler for that movie.
I was going to say, by saying fake werewolf, we spoiled the movie, yeah.
I mean, whatever. It's a several-year-old movie, and it's a very niche film. But it turns out the werewolf in that movie is a fake werewolf.
Yeah.
But he's a serial killer who's dressing up as a werewolf to kill people and make them think it's a werewolf.
And that actually looks better than this costume.
And that is supposed to be a guy in a costume, but it looks better than this actual werewolf.
Highly recommend Wolf of Snow Hollow, by the way. Underseen gem. Really good thriller.
Yeah, really enjoyed that film.
Yeah.
But
great stuff.
Yeah.
So they're and one last steal from Lethal Weapon 2. We're fighting on top of shipping crates like this. The big
I am so glad we got a cut to the crane operator, because when he climbs on top of this crate, I'm like, how does the guy who's lifting this box not notice Mario Van Peebles climbing onto this box?
Yeah, I know.
Also,
and
how does he not notice?
Yeah, why are they moving stuff?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, actually, in Lethal Weapon 2, it is a point that the fight happens during a specific thing being loaded onto a ship. It's part of the plot. Only so, of course, they can drop one of those crates on a bad guy, which is awesome. Sure. That guy gets smushed good. But
this one is so we can have Mario Van Peebles fight a full-blown werewolf in a crate suspended in the air.
This is one of these things where I'm watching with sheer childlike glee as this is happening, just going like, I can't believe what I'm seeing here. And then he manages to impale the hook of the thing on the chain to the back of him. So he's now hanging. The werewolf is hanging up on this crate, as he well, we see the full eclipse end, which happens very quickly, by the way. It's like
it would.
It just goes whoop, and the moon's back. And
it kind of like the full eclipse happens, it stays there for a bit because it keeps cutting back to it, and then all of a sudden it
just goes
goes away
because it's clearly a very shitty effect that they put. It's the same JPEG of the moon, they just put a thing over it this time and then took it away. So the moon wipes, and he jabs him with the silver nitrate mix. And he has some line about it. It's a silver nitrate cocktail. And doesn't he have like a
motherfucker? Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Mario Van Peebles are kind of lame. I didn't even write them down as one-liners. Because a lot of them were like, not tonight, motherfucker. And you're just going like, that's not really anything. There really aren't. There's only a couple of true one-liners in this movie. And I think you guys actually wrote them down. So, but yeah, so he's in trouble. And then we can't end it on that. We have to cut the goddamn crate down so that it gets released and crashes to the ground with the two of them on it. And then we get this.
Oh, not just cut down. Does the classic thing where he shoots the chains and the chains just rupture and explode.
I love it. I love an action movie where bullets are just breaking chains open and, and the thing crashes to the ground. And and then
I have no notes for this entire sequence.
No, dying Guru just going like, please take my blood. You can't let the werewolf power die. And I thought, what? Why is that? He's just like, look, I know I'm done. I just want to make sure werewolves are still out there. My people need to live.
Well, because that's what makes Guru like a pretty good villain in this piece is he genuinely believes what he's doing is the right thing.
Yeah.
It's psychotic and it's like he's murdering way too many people, obviously, but he does believe he's the good guy of the story.
That's why I think the descent into the psychopathy kind of damages that part of his character. Because you're like, if you believe you're doing the good thing, why did you just murder that police captain? You know what I mean? It's sort of like, all right, he's going pretty fucking far.
And the sexual assault and the weird cult behavior. No, he's not a good guy, but he believes he's doing the right thing, which is important.
I mean, that happens. That happens to every cult leader. There's always an escalation, you know.
Yeah, because it's a 90-minute movie, it happens like that. You know, it's just all of a sudden
very quick. It does because it's a 90-minute movie.
And
last 30 minutes of the film.
We don't know what Mario Van Peebles does, but we flash forward 3 years and he's in Denver, and you can tell it's Denver because there are mountains around. Which there are. Everywhere you set foot in Denver is mountains. That's not true. I've been there several times. It just feels like any city. There are mountains about, but so anyway, and he comes running in to his wife, who's chopping meat on the counter, and cuts her finger, and he very creepily and very vampire-y actually licks the blood up. And the wound closes, man.
Because she's one of the werefolk too.
Is that what it was implying? Or was it that his werewolf saliva?
That was what I took. Was that?
That doesn't make any sense, but like...
She says that, like... Because he comes in and he says, hey, I got another caller. I think I'm starting to settle in here. And she's like, well, that's great until we have to move again. And implying she knows that when the next eclipse happens, they're going to have to move because he is part of the cycle now.
Oh, yeah. No, so, he's part of the cycle, but she's not. She doesn't have werewolf powers, I don't think, though.
That's what I took it to be because she healed. And then she has this little smile like, I'm a werewolf too.
Man, I read it differently. That's interesting. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer because the movie ends basically here, and then he's got on his computer where he's tracking days till the next full eclipse.
He's created a computer program
which
track.
All right, forgive my ignorance here, but how often are full eclipses?
I was actually literally just reading this. So, for our listeners, the next lunar eclipse, as of this recording, is 51 days from now. So November 8th, 2022, we will be able to see a full lunar eclipse at 8 p.m. here in the Pacific Northwest.
Okay.
The next
So we were
one
led to believe that on that date, Mario Van Peebles
will
a
kill
whole
again.
bunch of people. Yeah, he'll kill again.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
After that, so total lunar eclipses. There are partial lunar eclipses fairly regularly.
Mhm.
Total lunar eclipses, which happen when the Earth, the Sun, and the Moon are directly lined up so that the Earth's shadow is cast over the Moon, creating this
Mhm.
weird eclipse effect. Don't happen super often. The next one after this upcoming one won't be until, let's see, for our chunk of the world, March of 2025.
So this movie's making it seem
So
like it's happening.
roughly every 3 years.
Man, this movie's making it
Okay.
seem like it's happening every couple days, almost like every couple weeks.
Well, it does say 3 years later.
And again, it's not super regular
true.
because then there will be another total lunar eclipse the following year in 2026 because of the Earth and the Moon's elliptical orbits. They're not perfectly circular. There is no
Right.
pure regularity on this sort of thing.
So you need to be at a specific point on Earth to see the full lunar eclipse.
Correct. Like the ones that are coming up in
Yes.
2025, that for us it'll happen in the United States. It'll happen on March 13th and 14th. But for most of Asia and bits of Africa, it won't happen until September of 2025.
Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting.
And who knows how this interacts with the solar eclipse, which is the sun being
Right.
blotted out by the moon during the day.
Yeah, I've got questions there.
All I'm saying is that on the date that the next lunar eclipse is happening, people should probably just know what Van Peebles is doing. I'm just saying, just to keep an eye on them, just to make sure.
Keep some tabs. Van Peebles, let us know where you at.
I will say, based on his track record that I've read about, coming in November, he'll be doing a lot of political activism as a loud, outspoken voice about the statehood of the District of Columbia, which is apparently something he is very passionate about.
Interesting.
Which is an excellent cause.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
So, good job, Mario Van Peebles.
that's
Great.
That's full eclipse, folks.
Yeah, that's the full eclipse.
Our favorite death of the movie. That's an interesting one.
Oof.
Now,
boy.
the guys getting tossed, they didn't die from that. The guys getting tossed through the skylight. As much as I love that,
They were
can't
dead
count
before that happened.
We can't count that.
Is the motorcycle death me?
Ooh, the motor.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
The other one is the
Yeah.
throat being torn out of the Chicago
Also
PD
good.
guy. But yeah, I think it's got to be the motorcycle death for pure insanity reasons, right?
Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah. It's got
Yeah, I think it's
there's some
motorcycle
good
death.
deaths in this movie. Like this movie delivers.
And then
There's a
in
ton
that-
of really satisfying shooting deaths, but those are kind of run of the mill.
They don't count, but they are
Yes.
like glory. I mean, when he's emptying clips into people, like that is pretty great. And the
Yes.
insanity of Guru shooting that guy in the prison cell and then shooting the police captain are both like out of
Yes.
nowhere. What? We're just
I
murdering
will
people in
say-
the police station. Also, no investigation, by the way, into that prison death. It's just like, well, he said it was cool, so we'll believe him.
Again, I have no idea how much time takes place in between that and the finale of the movie.
But
so
it
who
does
knows?
it does seem like they would be like, all right, well, you're suspended, obviously, and we're gonna put a shooting board together, and
I will say, in hindsight, it seems like, despite the emphasis on the claws that appear in this movie, we don't have any really good claw kills. in
No,
this
the
film.
only stuff is at a
Not really.
distance when he sees through the binoculars them clawing people. But no, we don't really get a good look at any claw deaths. Too expensive, I think.
Yeah,
I guess, yeah.
Because the biting death is easier because it's mostly implied. You know, you don't need a lot of. But I think the claws are like, hey man, we can't. We can't do much with them.
But we don't get that like super satisfying moment from Wolverine where he's like got the guy with two claws and he's holding him above his head,
No,
like in
no.
Logan.
No, oh my god. Oh, I mean, the best claw deaths in cinema history are in Logan, obviously.
Yeah,
That
for
movie
sure.
is glorious with the claw deaths. Do we even need to discuss the one-liners? Because I think we all know what it is. It's this is was it what was it, Listman? You wrote it down.
This is my brain. This is you on my brain. Any question?
Yeah.
I think.
That's pretty good. It's not really a one-liner, but I do love "You're a motherfucking werewolf."
I really did like "You had the right to remain silent" before he crashes the.
That is also
it's another,
very
it's
good.
one in context that is
very
pretty
good.
great.
Yeah.
So I think those are that business. Well, as you know, it is always my mission to find the strangest IMDb reviews. And I'm so glad we mentioned X-Men because this review talks about X-Men. So where was that here? There aren't a lot of positive reviews of this movie, believe it or not.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Which is honestly kind of shocking because, like, this is absolute schlock. We're not
I will
denying
say
that.
the
But it's
vast
so much.
the vast
fun.
majority of the reviews for this thing fall between a 5 and a 6 star, which I think is about right, probably.
I guess
Yeah,
that's fair.
probably.
If you're really rating
Yeah.
it, there aren't a whole lot of 10-star reviews, which are generally what I choose from. Sometimes I'll do negative, but okay. Here it is. This comes to us from IMDb user Moses7, and the review is titled "Sleek, Sexy, and Kind of Like X-Men." Full Eclipse was a cool werewolf movie. It had it all. Action, romance, sex, violence, and cool special effects. Mario Van Peebles is great as Max Dyer, the cop who becomes involved with a top-secret group of werewolf cops led by Bruce Payne. He is lured into joining by the sexy Patsy Kensit. She is the real reason why I love this film so much. She is so fine, and she is also a good actor. The love scene between her and Mario is the best one I have ever seen on film.
Oh, wow.
That was what solidified me having to read this review.
Oh, wow.
The film is loosely inspired by X-Men, as director Anthony Hickox once said in an interview, with Wolverine-type claws. The werewolves take on gangs and other bad guys. I recommend it to werewolf fans. 10 out of 10 stars. It's not loosely inspired by X-Men. Once again, it is borrowing some of the purely aesthetic aspects. There's no like we're ostracized for being werewolves or something like that. That would be where it would really connect to X-Men and stuff like that. But or even the because the other thing is the team is so non-functional. It's not a positive thing at all. So
nope.
Yeah, it's
so
really
it's more like the League of Evil Mutants more than
yeah, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, yeah.
yeah, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Which later was just changed to Brotherhood of Mutants because they eventually they go, why would they call themselves evil? Anyway, now
well, it's because it's a rejection of what society considers to be good and evil, John. That was Toad's argument when he was in charge.
That's right, I do. Like it's almost like we're gonna call ourselves evil before you get the chance to.
Right.
So
it's like the Church of Satan is really just using that as like,
it's ironic. Yeah, it's an attention grabber. Now I unfortunately this isn't available on Amazon, but I feel like our friend would love it. But what I did pull here is a different gritty LA cop movie. To hear the opinions of our favorite Amazon reviewer. That's right, folks. It's once again time for a segment of The Winning Opinion. Bruce Winning, this is his review of, do you guys know the movie Street Kings by any chance?
Yes.
It's a corrupt LA cop movie starring Keanu Reeves and Forrest Whitaker. So I went with the gritty.
Are they like a secret organization of cop Mothmen?
No, but it is kind of a thing where it's like they send Keanu Reeves in to do the dirty work that the society won't do. You know, it's that kind of thing where it's like he's kind of the guy who will kill gang leaders. So it's kind of similar. It's a much more serious and grounded view of that idea. It's of David.
It's a babyface Chris Evans in that movie.
Babyface Chris Evans as the young cop going, I don't know about any of this, you guys. You've also got a great Hugh Laurie performance as the internal affairs cop going, I don't care for your tactics, you know. It's a pretty decent, if standard cop movie, but it's a good cast. So here he is. This is Bruce Winning's review, and I think he's getting a little political with the title of this review. It is titled Too Many Bad Cops. I like the action and violence. I like the shooting. There are hundreds of flying bullets in this one. I like the punching and kicking. I like the fast car scenes. 5 out of 5 stars.
But there's too many bad cops.
I like that you say he's getting political, literally only in the title of the
He
review.
does this a lot, where
He does that a lot.
He'll
I know.
posit some statement in his title, and you're like, ooh, and then it's just the same bullshit from him, and where I'm going like,
Well, we expect the subject line to be a thesis of some kind, and that's not the case with winning. It is simply just another part of the review.
it is exactly
Yes,
that.
maybe the first line of the review.
But I like to think
Dicks
that
in the title.
that movie opened up Bruce's eyes to police corruption. And there are just too many bad cops, you guys.
Has he ever seen Training Day? I'm very curious.
I would love to hear his opinions on Training Day, because Street Kings is a little bit more action movie. Training Day really forces you to look at it, because it really is a drama. It's tough to... Although, by God, he enjoyed American Psycho as an action movie, so I don't know what he's capable of.
That's true.
Yeah.
He doesn't...
Yeah.
If as soon as any kind of physical violence happens, he's like, yes, I'm enjoying this for purely entertainment exhilaration reasons. And you're just like, dude, you don't pay attention to the context or subtext of anything.
Nope.
Well, guys,
Well, look at his reviews. It's just punching and kicking.
Yeah,
it's
it is just like,
he's
I
got
violence.
the punching. It's got the kicking.
Well,
The bullets are flying.
hundreds of bullets flying in this one, which you really seem to enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, we did say we wish that there was expansion of this world. So I'm going to pause it.
We're gonna make the sequel, right?
We're going to make the sequel, Full Eclipse 2, and we're
Okay.
going to use our handy dandy at picking up exactly where this one left off.
No, John, we can't call it Full Eclipse 2. It's just Full Eclipse : whatever the next one is. We can't limit this to numbered sequel. This is an expanded universe we're building
You
here.
got that right. Well, here it is.
Yes,
I'm going to use the
yes.
handy dandy. And actually, you guys, I'm going to use a slightly different variation here. I'm going to recalibrate this to be, yes, a horror movie title generator.
Oh,
Excellent.
That's right. I'm just
Excellent.
going to twist
Okay.
some knobs here, and here we go. And here it comes. It's giving me the title right now. Aha, here it is. Full Eclipse, Dead in the Shadows.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, so right off the bat, Dead in the Shadows. We've been talking a lot about how we expand this out to include supernatural entities.
Yes.
This has got to be with ghosts, right? We've got the
Yes.
dead that are in the shadows.
A series of
Yes.
murders. We have Detective Max Dyer assigned to a series of mysterious murders. There seems to be no forced or unforced entry. These people are dying in fully locked rooms. This is crazy. How can it be?
Yes. I think taking the approach that the first movie is like a Marvel, the introduction of the Marvel super
Yeah. Now,
generally fights the evil version of himself.
mm,
And then this is where we expand to the other supernatural elements. So yes, this is Ghost. There's going to be a movie about
yeah.
probably mummies, like all the stuff we were riffing.
That's where the franchise goes. Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
So let me
yes.
ask you this. Here's the big question. Is he functioning as a solo wolf cop, or has he created another team of werewolf cops to join him? Or has he met other supernatural people along in the years between and created a group of just supernatural cops? So there's like a zombie cop.
That's the 10-year plan, John. We can't get there in the second
yes.
movie.
The Avengers plan. So,
We're not pulling a
Yes.
Justice League here. We're not trying to get out the
Yeah,
gates.
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
with
I'm going to say
set
in
up.
this
We
case,
gotta
then,
slow roll it.
having seen the negativity of what Guru created, he is functioning alone as the one werewolf cop, using his powers for good, but also to give him some dramatic tension, battling the impulses and urges that creates within him.
Well, because at the end of the day, we saw at the end of this film that he is still doing the thing where at the time of the full eclipse, he goes on a murderous rampage and kills a ton of people,
But he
and then has
tries
to move on to the next.
Much kind of like the Hulk, he tries to aim that as best he can at evil doers.
So this is what I'm going to pitch here. So because he still does that on a full moon, that's why his first ally who sticks around is a ghost. Because that ghost can't die. So each time he battled
There you go.
one of these supernatural gang elements, one of them joins his party because, again, we have to slowly build this team.
So what he does then in this film is, okay, we realize these murders are happening in these impossible scenarios. The only explanation could be ghosts. So he stumbles in to the ghost society that exists parallel to our own, using some of his werewolf senses to kind of like go into the troll market version for ghosts that exists in the understreets of whatever city he happens to be in. I'm going to say Seattle.
Oh, sure, yeah. Well,
yeah,
because Seattle has the underground city.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
So that's what it's set around. Okay. That's great. And the he initially accuses a ghost. He thinks he's found the serial killer, but it's wrong. And then that ghost ends up becoming his partner. So this is the beginning of that relationship. And that ghost is played by who? Cast it.
Ooh, that ghost is played by. I want to say Buscemi. I really want to say
Buscemi.
Mike, I had the exact same thought. Yes. I had the exact same thought. Steve Buscemi.
And because Buscemi leads me to Fargo, the murderous ghost, Peter Stormare.
Oh,
there you go.
The actual evil ghost is Stormare. And that also means there's a ghost fight at the end of the movie.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And definitely. We go to the point where the only way Mario Van Peebles can actually fight the enemy ghost is to briefly kill himself to create his own ghost.
He has to stop his heart flatliner style and go into the ghost realm.
Yes.
Dude, this movie, I'm so
upset. Enter the spirit realm.
I'm so upset this movie doesn't... I am legitimately upset there aren't like 3 sequels to Full Eclipse.
Yes.
So yeah, folks, that's Full Eclipse, Dead in the Shadows, coming soon to a Redbox near you. Well, Listman, Spooktober rolls along next week, and we're going from werewolves to possession film. We haven't done one of these yet.
Going to ghosts, just like I said.
Well, going to evil spirits at the very least. Because this is we are doing our first exorcism movie on here, and who better to take us there than Mr. Robert Bronzi, our very favorite Charles Bronson look-alike. This is a brand new movie, by the way. It's a 2022 release. So
that's a bad sign, John. That's not a good sign.
This is Bronzi sans Rene Perez, though. He's working with different filmmakers here.
So it's interesting. This is our first Bronzi film without Perez, right?
Yeah, this is our first. Bronzi has expanded. We're gonna watch. I don't think people expected that there'd be so many Bronzi movies on the show, but we're kind of fascinated by this guy. But yes, this is a movie entitled Exorcist Vengeance. This is for those who love The Exorcist but wish there was more gunplay. Because it stars Robert Bronzi as a pistol packing priest who has to respond.
Hey, Ghoulie, I'm here to exorcise some spirits.
Yes. Everybody, do so a favor. Go onto YouTube and watch the trailer for this movie, because it does have a scene where he is packing up his stuff, and it's like, my Bible, my crucifix, my 9mm Beretta in the bag to go exorcise some demons. And so, yes, this is Robert Bronzi as a pistol-packing priest in Exorcist Vengeance. As always, would you like to hear the tagline for this movie?
Oh, I gotta hear it.
God help everyone. Exorcist Vengeance. Robert Bronzi, Exorcist Vengeance. I am excited to do this.
Wow.
Our good buddy Jerry Chrisman is joining us again. He got if anybody remembers Robo Vampire last year on
one of the worst
Spooktober.
One of the worst movies we've ever seen.
It can only be a step up from that, right? I say, hoping that is that will be next week on the show. Gorgoni, a pleasure to have you as always, and of course, joining us from the Punch Up Entertainment Network, you can hear Gorgoni every week on both Panel Up and Material Components, where you can also hear Michael Lister.
Hey!
And if you want to hear more of me talking monsters, this will be premiering, just premiered on the Punch Up Entertainment Network, is Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters, our Brendan Jones and I's podcast where we chart the cinematic legacy of the classic monsters. So be sure to tune into those shows as well. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of The Action Shelf. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Michael Lissman.
Till next week, get yourself some action.
The Action Show. The Action Show.